Now, he has passed his CII as an associate and was accredited chartered insurance practitioner subsequently. His contribution to the insurance industry, including teaching since 1993 with MII and subsequently with Malaysian Reinsurance on program for insurance executive, yeah. And of course, obviously, doing the virtual training during the COVID pandemic time, all right. Now, he has been working, or rather, he has worked with 10 companies starting as a marketer, underwriter, risk surveyor in insurance company, and underwriter in professional reinsurance company, operation manager in loss adjuster company. Now, he has more than 4 decades, yeah, experience in this industry, particularly on, lecturing, the subject matters, all right? Now, let's just go through the housekeeping rules if I pass the host to Peter. Now, please remember to mute your mic when you're presenting or if you're engaged in ongoing discussions. Yeah, please join the session using an agency when it is very important, so that your branch is able to capture your attendance correctly and unauthorized correct comments are allowed to participate in the training. And be reminded not to share the training materials and screenshot of this training on social media. Yeah. Now, finally, stay to the end of our sessions to answer evaluations, polling for speed accordance. There are only 9 questions in total. You can click the $3 button now to resume the polling sessions. I mean, in the event that the line drop or whatever, yeah, to resume your polling sessions, then get it submitted and record a day. So without further ado, let me pass the floor to Peter. Peter, over to you. Yeah.
Thank you, Alex, for the general briefing of my CV. Okay, for those who are joined here, the CPD is very important to you because we're going to go to the next few slides. The reminder by GE is basically the market conduct essential. There are 6 points. The first 3 are basically talking about the Bank Negara, which is usually about the product disclosure sheet. So whenever you have this so-called at the point of sale before the pre-contractual stage, meaning that before you actually close the deal, and also at the time when you have closed the deal and at renewal, you should also again share the product disclosure sheet to your customer. Even though it's routine, but you still have to demonstrate this. This is under the Bank Negara rule. Okay. The second point is basically in terms of fair treatment to financial consumer. Now, this point is actually talking about basically selling something or marketing suitable products to the customers on a need basis, not for to enforce this as like a luxury, and advise them what is the objective of this so-called product all about. And the third thing is actually, again, from Bank Negara, is talking about the importance of having this so-called professionalism in insurance or takaful for those who are takaful agents. And some of you agents are actually both. So just make sure that you actually attend and meet the CBD hours, which is 20 hours. Of course, you can fulfill beyond that because learning is a continuous process. And even today, I'm still learning because by teaching, I need to actually design new products. So I can see all my slides all keep changing every year. And I've been doing that since 1993. Yeah. Okay. The next 3 points is talking about number 4. This is called the PDPDA. It's actually talking about the data, personal data. We do not want this data simply go to somewhere else and then you get scammed, because all your information of your customers, telephone number, sometimes to the extent IC number and so forth, all are being disclosed. So this point is to say that you must be lawfully dealing with it such that you can create a contract, like example, issuing a policy. So the whole idea is that making sure you take care of this called data protection. And the fifth one is, again, this is talking about financial services, which has superseded the Bank Negara, what's called Insurance Act 1996. Okay. This was implemented in 2013, implemented actually in force in July 2014. And the involved you as an agent is that it is a pre-contractual duty of disclosure. That means the duty to inform the insurers if there's any material changes, particularly don't misrepresent items such that the insurers is induced to accept and vice versa, don't induce the insured to accept also this type of business. So any failure to do that, the agents can be fined or imprisonment. The fine is actually 10 million ringgit, which is very high, and also can put to jail to 5 years or both. Okay. And lastly, the last point is that under the Financial Services Act, Section 124, it actually talking about not to engage in those prohibited businesses conducted set out in the Schedule 7. Okay. So again, this is to reiterate that we should not enforce or influence or using threat to ensure customer purchase insurance product. It must be done with the aim of buying the need basis. Okay, so these are the 6 points which we have actually gotten from GE, which hopefully if you have any issues you want to raise now, and Alex is around also, we can also answer your question on this 6 point. Going forward, what are we going to cover today? Basically, it's talking about the mission breakdown. So this is a disclaimer. Although I'm a trainer for so many years, I still have this view that this is my own opinion. I am as humans as any other people, that I can also make mistake. But having said that, if you have anything that you find I made a mistake, do point out to me, because I do make mistake also at the same time, because I've been doing too many slides and also with so many providers, So I love my job, so therefore I continue doing what I like to do. Anyway, so don't use these slides unnecessary, like I mentioned here under the paragraph 3, so that actually is meant for your own keeping. Now, there are 7 items here that we're going to cover, okay, on the importance of machinery insurance protection. So let's go into one by one, A, B, C, D, until the 7. So the 6 will be on the F, will be on the mission breakdown, the policy coverage, exclusions, conditions, and so forth. So the earlier part, we talk about one word, what is machine breakdown and how do actually we do it. There are many questions posed to us, and I put that as number A, knows the machine breakdown insurance. So what is the coverage in the machinery insurance? Basically, I was saying that the cover under machinery breakdown insurance, the wording. Now, this wording actually was born before I was in the insurance industry 40 odd years ago. And it's still in use today, I'm sorry to say that. But of course, we during my time, I also have this so-called wording called from UK. That's called Association of British Insurers wording. And unfortunately, most of the British companies in Malaysia have been actually wind down and go back to the home countries. Doesn't mean they collapse, but just wind down, okay? So anyway, we will explain to you that this is the wording that you're going to use it and how to use it. You find that there's no wording mentioning about accidental here. It just mentioned unforeseen sudden physical loss or damage to the insured items from whatsoever cause, not specifically excluded. This means that this policy is an all-risk cover. Everything is covered. You will tell people everything is covered. But only thing is, whatever we don't cover, we will spell out in the exclusion. It is different from other policies where they mention the name peril: fire, lightning, right and strike, malicious damage, bursting of water pipe, blah, blah, blah. No, so you name the peril. Here, everything is covered. Only thing that you don't cover, you look at exclusions. So it's very different. And again, this morning, somebody was asking about this machinery all risk, which is different from this policy because it is covered internal breakdown and somewhat external breakdown. But your policy in machinery all risk have a limitation of maximum 5 years or 7 years to a machinery. And the cover does not include machinery breakdown. So there's no gaps in cover, meaning that they are not the same. They are basically an extension of your machinery all risk cover. Unfortunately, with this wording, nobody actually have seen this. It's defined what it is. So I had met up with one of the guy from Munich Re in Germany itself under training the time when I was there. And we asked this question and none of them can answer my question. So I'm actually have to come back in 1993 itself from Germany and I start to teach. So therefore I designed this and I put this quote and unquote my wording. So don't use this as though it is meant to be the definitions. It is only for me to facilitate the class. Unforeseen, as I would describe here, is called circumstances were not recognized in time and could have been foreseen despite professional know-how, meaning that it is something that is not foreseeable. If let's say, for example, there's always a breakdown, and then you want to take up insurance, naturally, this is what I call foreseeable already. It is no longer unforeseen. No? So it's something that is not foreseen. Secondly, is sudden. Sudden is something that is happening all at once and it's not a gradual process. So it is happened all at once and just like bang, exploded or collapsed, for example. So this is what they call sudden. Then physical is something that you can touch, you can see, and simply what they call tangible. Okay, so physical must be there. It is not today, like for example, under cyber attack, suddenly something went wrong to your system, and you have to reboot everything, your computer, for example. I've also been hit before. Virtually I can't help it, so I got to change it because we opened a wrong website. And when I was teaching in MII, I was the only person who've been teaching using the website, the USB. Unfortunately, I cannot bring my laptop because it's using the MII laptop, and sorry, the desktop, and it's linked to the projector. So I have to put it in. Okay, so when I put it in, I can now what I call scam, all the cyber attack, virus hacking, and all that. I didn't know. Brought back to my office, and I was working in Tokyo Marine. They were trying to search what's wrong with the company, and finally they found it was me who's a culprit who brought in the virus. So I've been told not to use that anymore. So now today's you don't have this problem because nobody can access using the USB in your computer nowadays. My time we still can use it. So this is very dangerous. And that is not a physical loss. It's something called cyber attack. Then the last part is whatsoever cost not specifically excluded. It means what I'm trying to say is that it covers all things, anything that is covered, except that you look at exclusion will not be covered. So if it say deductible, means deductible is exclusion. Wear and tear is not covered because it's stated in the exclusion. So that's how I will look at it. So what about other countries in the world? I've been using UK wording many years, for 18 and a half years when I was working with Commercial Union, which is a British-based company. And they sold this company to Aviva. I left them already. And of course, Aviva sold it to MSIG. I was working with Mitsui. I left Mitsui, then only MSIG bought over Aviva, CGO. Okay. Anyway, that's the history. So in UK today, the wording used can be read as sudden unforeseen damage. And also they have one more word. It added what they call accidental damage. So you can find this is not the fixed ruling that can change anything because different company uses different wording. There's no unique standard wording in UK. So for them to use the Munich Re wording to penetrate the UK market is zero, no chance, zero. So they have to change the wording to suit the British companies. Anyway, so these are the operative clause that we see, and you find that they describe as they hereby describe, agree, the time, blah, 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 and then the schedule, the premises suffer any unforeseen. So you can see this long word, suffer any unforeseen, sudden physical loss of damage. So it is exactly what is described here. And then they go on to say, such as defects in casting material, fault design, workshop, and so forth. I will explain to you one by one along the way because we are coming to that very shortly. Okay, so just bear in mind that these are the few things that you need to be aware. Now, going forward, some of the example of losses covered under the definition, unforeseen. So one of the things that we will see is called, it covers replacement of parts due to human error. Human error is actually one of the culprit that caused most of the breakdown. It is the people, either they call it themselves, but they are still not experienced enough. And of course, the one who's more experienced, they had created another problem called omission. Because they're so experienced, their tendency is they forget, So omissions of the operators. Still, operators are the one who man the machines, and that create a breakdown. And these are payable. Inevitable loss such as damage caused by running the machine. When you run the machine without stopping, generally speaking, it's called inevitable. Means it will bound to be a breakdown, a matter of time only. So therefore, there must be a certain time frame where you put it to a stop and then check, clean, and then continue. So if there's no stoppage at all, then it's a problem. But of course, there's some machine, there's no need to stoppage. It's called furnace, for example. It continues 24 hours. No point stopping and record again. No point. It shouldn't be that way. Okay. So it also covers what they call damage, which is sudden and accidental, despite complying with the statutory inspection. Now, they will actually go through what they call inspection by the inspectorate, which is called the factory machinery department. Now, the factory machinery departments have been merged into the DOSH. DOSH stands for Department of Occupational Safety and held. OSHA, the Dodge. And what happened is that these guys need to actually conduct the servicing. For example, the lift that you use in Great Eastern every 6 months, it is compulsory. It's stated by the Act. Okay. And of course, you go to boiler, for example, it is 12 calendar months, regardless whether it's water tube boiler or fire tube boiler or even black liquor recovery boiler, whatever it is. And of course, there are certain machineries will be up to 18 months. It all depends. Okay. The second part is we will also cover if you have followed and complied with the maintenance requirements stated by the makers. The makers are usually called OEM, original equipment makers, the company that actually design or create or founder of this machinery or item. So you have to follow because it's still under guarantee. So whenever we buy a car, washing machine, or electrical item, whatever, they always give you a guarantee period. Some as low as 1 year, some as long as 10 years, like the power plant. Most of these are in this category. Example causes of internal machine breakdown. Generally speaking, I would think that there are many reasons why it breaks down. Okay, one of the true reason is the vibrations. When the machine moves, there are a lot of parts which is dropped. Or if it drop outside, fine. Outside the machine housing, then can still screw it back. But inside, then it becomes a foreign object. And there are parts moving inside, could be a fan impeller. That can create a problem to the fan because the blade will be coming in contact with it and then create what they call damage. So this loosening part couldn't be a problem. It's always going to be a problem. Excessive electrical current is that when you have this so-called outage, no power, then suddenly power come back. And that excessive electrical power can put a lot of strain onto your machine. So usually we ask them to unplug it from the 3-pin plug when the power come back. Usually that has been done. A lot of people doesn't know. It will just hit directly onto the machine, and that is what they call electronic breakdown. Short circuiting and arcing is also very common in most of the time due to wiring, and of course this could be without fire. Then the policy will trigger. If it's with fire, then your fire policies will pay. Okay. Failure of certain protective devices to trigger response. For example, this so-called devices is supposed to actually deal with what they call respond to, let's say, shortage of water in a boiler, or maybe a deterioration, the motor failed. So therefore, there's no longer any air conditioning. So all these usually they will trigger a visual one. You can see a red color, green color, or you can actually trigger what they call an alarm, which is audible, can hear one. So usually, but unfortunately, it failed. So therefore, nobody pick up the signal. External damage could result from falling impact, entry of foreign bodies. So these are things I mentioned. You're moving a gantry crane or a crane that lift up all the items. Wait. Something wrong here? Can you see my slide?
Yes, can see your screen, Mr. Peter.
Yeah, let me just put it across here. Can see?
Yes, can see.
Nurul, is it?
Clear.
Yeah, somebody you move my slide again. Share. Can see?
Yes, can see.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I can see the slides moving.
So for those who are in the class, please do not touch the slide. Don't touch my slide. And don't mute myself too. Okay, coming back here again. Sorry for that. So the other thing that we find that is an example that we will pay for is physical explosion. This explosion without fire. So normally we will always associate explosion as though something which is following the fire, and then of course that is called chemical fire. So that will be paid under fire insurance. However, this case is called concussion explosion, meaning that it's just purely, I call it physical explosion due to the force of internal pressurized steam or pressurized fluid flying out from the boiler, for example. And this is a classic example that is covered. Centrifugal force for objects moving at very high speed, which is actually, for example, most revolutions, like your car, if you drive in the dashboard, you can see 1,000, 2,000. What is that? It's 1 and 2. But in fact, it is called 2,000 revolution in 1 minute. So imagine if these are spinning at 2,000 revolution in 1 minute and an object landed there, what will happen? So we actually have one claim, and I was in my last company, the 10 company, and the claim is 75 million. It is now fighting. It's fighting between Allianz and the maker of this machine called General Electric. And I'm taking a share. My share is quite big also. And while I was in last company in 2022. But anyway, it's going to arbitration in Singapore. So how it's going to end, I don't know, because I left the company because we have finished our job. So now it's be done in Switzerland, my sister company. Anyway, so the other one is the storm damage. Storm damage is basically something that will expose even without a roof. Example, most of this machine will be housed outside the roof building. Storage tanks, okay, transformers. And if you're on the port, you find those cranes are lifting the container from the ship to the ground and vice versa. And of course, there are also some of those called trader carrier, which is actually what they call road hire gantry and trader carrier, which is moving objects. So they are exposed to storm when there is a storm. So these are items that we say why storm is covered there. So a lot of people say it's a fire, it's a fire peril. Agree with you, but you need to extend in the fire policy. It's not automatically covered. Okay, but this policy is very different. It's automatically, you don't have to think what perils to get at it because it is the widest cover you can think of. We will go through and let you know what are those coverage. So you turn back here again, you find that the word here is all here. Okay, you can see the word physical loss, terror, exposed, scientific shot, storm. See, these are word for word which I'm telling you. Word for word which I'm telling you. So which means to say, you rest assured that these are all covered. Okay, so why the need for MP insurance? Why must you recommend? Now, as far as I'm concerned, I've been servicing brokers since 1982. 2 years before, I was servicing purely only agents. I was a very young person who knows nothing about insurance, so I don't even understand. But I managed to do some papers because I joined insurance simply because there is a ACII, Association of Chartered Insurance. I joined because of the paper. So I passed out very fast. Okay, but the only thing is, when we come to insurance on MB insurance, a lot of people don't understand. Even the writer for con loss is called Hikmet. And sorry, Hikmet or Riley, I can't remember. Hikmet. He came and gave a class talk in 1984. I still have his notes. It's only about 5 to 10 pages only. I can't remember, but it's still with me. But we really could not understand. I was just jotting down the notes. I don't understand what is he talking because, it is a classroom. It is many people, it's very tough. But anyway, I enjoy now when I look back and reflecting back, I find that, it's very straightforward. It's just that the trainer have no chance to speak like what I'm doing now. They don't have slides. They don't have pictures. They talk, and everybody go to sleep. Okay, but I was writing down anyway. So this MB insurance, a lot of people try to talk. I heard a lot of them during my time in the 80s, but I couldn't understand what these guys are talking. Okay, now I have to explain to you because I know where you're coming from. So generally, when you sell anything, why are you not able to sell? It's because there's no need, there's a need for it. So what the brokers usually do is they sell this need to their client. First question is, how much do they charge? It's usually 0.2% to 0.5%, around that range of the sum insured. And remember, the sum insured is always, always, always new for old value, not on book value, not on purchase value. Because later on, you can see that I'll explain to you about the policy wording. It carefully mentioned that the policy is on new for old value, meaning that you don't even have to put in reinstatement value clause like the fire policy. Everything is built inside. But the only thing is you need to bear in mind is that you must have the sum insured on new for old value. Secondly, why you should need to have the MB insurance? Because insurance company work very well with the reinsurer, and the reinsurers usually take the lion's share. Most insurance company write about 3 million only. 3% of the paid up capital. Assuming your paid up capital is 100 million, they write only 3%, meaning that they write only 3 million out of 100 million. So if the insured give you a business of 100 million, where does the 97 million goes? It goes to the reinsurers. Do you know that? Okay. So let's let you know this is the real fact of life. So these 97 million reinsurers always work very closely with the manufacturers. So when I was in Germany, actually I went into and was arranged by Munich Re to see the one word called Siemens, German Siemens, and we see how they manufacture power plant and the plates and so forth. So this is where the technical support need to be there. And of course, today I'm still reading a lot of publication. This publication all are free one. You just need to type it in, key in, and then of course come out. But all are engineering terms. So being an engineer is make my life easy. Okay, so technical support are available for the manufacturers, and therefore insurers can put guidance to the client, to the insurer, because the reinsurers are the one who taking 97%. Okay, capital expenses. Whenever an insurer buy any insurance, the capital is actually spent on the machinery. It is not 100,000. It's usually millions, and they don't buy one. So it buy a few, it could be billions. Okay, of course, for an agent, you usually think that they are buying very small amount, a few Chinamen or what's there. No, they are also equally expensive. And most of these machines are very, very lasting and sustainable. The only thing is, from time to time, they have to wear and tear, and of course, you have to replace the parts. Some of these are called like oil, you have to replace. Isn't it engine oil, all that, gears oil, and all these have to replace. But of course, there's certain things that you have to bear in mind is the breakdown. You need to get the parts. That parts may not be source available because they are very old already. So what they do is they will cannibalize to use non-OEM parts. Non-OEM parts means the parts is just lathe machine. For example, this is the machine. This is a part that's broken down. The lathe machine exactly. Okay, so the lathe exactly this one and so forth. Okay, that is how they do it. This stone is very important stone because I just got it from Hong Kong last year. After trading, I got this. Okay, so important thing is, the other point is the security to the bank. The lender that lent you always insists to have an all-risk policy, but most agents, brokers will recommend only fire insurance. But I will recommend everything. Okay, so far we have a lot of success in selling this because they do not know there is a cover called machinery breakdown. That's all. So they're dependent on the people whom they meet. If they met you and you are in this class, you can sell to them very good because they do not know this can be covered. This type of losses can be covered. So generally, I think that many smaller firms, they don't have two. Do you buy a car and then buy a standby car in your house? You don't do that. Isn't it? You break down, of course, you take the public transport and then you don't buy. Here, you don't expect the factory also have one machinery and buy a standby machinery. No such thing. So in short, they don't have a duplicate machine. So when it's a breakdown, it's a total standstill. Stop work completely. So that's the reason why you need to bear in mind that your client can be in a hardship, especially when they have a high demand of order, So which industry and trade will need MB insurance? Oh, plenty you can think of. Going back to basic, we have started with the industrial revolution where the boiler was started and then the steam was generated, isn't it? And then from steam, we can now put into the turbine and generator. So we generate what? Electricity. And that's what steam and electricity will congregate in IR 1.0. In IR 2.0, they started mass production of cars, electrical items, and so forth, isn't it? So mechanical, electrical was very widely used. And of course, this is actually due to the war. So they have a lot of these things, production. And now we are at the stage called IR 3.0, where during my college days when I study what they call using computer Fortran. It is like a Toto. You put in this piece of paper and then go into the machine. And all I need to put inside the paper here is not my number. I write 10101010101010. Okay. All these are called numeric figures that put inside, and then finally you draft it and they come out what you wanted. So we have to design this so-called. But of course, Fortran today is disappeared already. Totally long gone. No longer you have heard of Fortran. It's a famous product. used by most people as a way to help them or assist in their work. Okay, so we also study another subject called instrumentation. Instrumentation, I don't know what is that, but today I can tell you it's called automation. You need to just press beep, everything work by itself already. Washing machine work by itself, refrigerator work by itself, everything work by itself. So it's just called instrumentation. That means you instruct them what to do, and then of course all these are being shaped in the way. Now we are moving to IR 4.0, whereby later on you can see that there's no people watching movie in the house. They will go to Netflix or maybe something that called cloud and then bring it down. No? So cloud is another way that going forward. And now, of course, people come up with automations called AI. The reason is because AI was started due to the fact that many people or factories, I say, cannot find the people, the right skill to meet their needs. So therefore, these are the issues they're facing. So they have no choice but to move into 100% automation. If you do not go to automation, you'll find that you will lose out in terms of competition, and then slowly you will die off. The company will die off. So we can see that this is a very important progression into IR 4.0. Okay. So these are all the plants that we have seen for bigger clients. But you don't have to worry, because many of your clients today can be bakeries, they use oven. Printers, plenty of them. Or any of those foundry or furnace or engineering firm, they also need. The only thing is they have not have met you only. If they have met you, then you can recommend the cover for them. Of course, it is not so straightforward, but we will just explain to you over time. And do stop me at any point in time at each chapter if you have any questions. Okay. Now, moving forward, what are the benefits of having MB insurance? There are certain unique features. Of course, when you sell anything, you know the product is easy to sell. So basically, it's any business that values of machinery equipment to operate should get MB insurance. You can see manufacturing, construction, transportation, any kind of services like us. Insurance is also services, banks and so forth. Everything now needs machinery. Now you can see even insurance company hardly talk to you already. They're all by what? It's just by machine. In fact, the agents are keying in those items. You are actually doing the work of the processing staff. And of course, they're now slowly, the bank and also insurance have let go all those processing stuff. My time, we don't have a computer. And then subsequently, we changed to computer in the 80s. Oh my God. Many of my staff is suffering in the 80s. They say, Peter, I want to stop work now. Hamida, why you stop work? You're doing very fine. You're doing all the motto. They call it fleet discount and all those. I'm doing the Rockmans lah, the Shell lah, the ICI group lah, and many big account. And for those multinational, we have so many of those international, Johnson and Johnson, Dutch Lady, everything is us. Oh yo, don't do like that lah. Another staff say, Peter, I need to really do the old way, I cannot use computer because headache lah, really headache. That's a Chinese man. Another guy is doing reinsurance, say, hey Peter, I want to just continue to do reinsurance. I want to put 5%, 2.5% and use hand, not computer. Can So when I look at them, they're only left by 5 years. I say, okay lah. But I have to suffer because I lose man time, because you are not using machine. It's double work. You key in, then this key already, you pass it to another person to key in. You get me now? But now mine, that is how we see it. That is because of the phase changing. So now you can see that the benefit of machine breakdown insurance is that it protects the business in terms of the financial. For example, loss of revenue. So most of the machinery that we see today may not be for revenue earning for profits. No, it's more administration, help you in your work, isn't it? Machine, let's say for example, making an oven, it's just a machine that help you in the work. Without that one, you cannot even generate bread. Not to say even you making the mixture also cannot. So therefore, that is something that they need to consider. And some of these machines are very strong and robust, but very expensive. The oldest machine which I've seen was in Perak, and this is called Lysat. Lysat is actually manufacturing those galvanized steel in one piece and then go into the galvanizing sewn, and then you can make the pole. The lamp posts are all made by them. That machine actually belongs to an Australian company called Lysat. Today is a management buy cover. So the management means the staff buy over the company. And now, of course, it's based in Perak. And it's still working strong. See? The only thing is, these are the machines that need to continue. And it's just a guillotine cutting only. It's very old, but it's fantastically accurate and useful, I would say. Oh, so generally, the other benefit is that if you have purchased this machine breakdown, even a slight breakdown, you don't expect the machinery will get the machine on time because you don't have the parts. So to take these parts, if this is a foreign-made machine, what do you expect? Longer time? No? The leading time to get back to business takes long time. No? So usually what we do is we will also pay if you say, yeah, I go to Chan Zhou Ling and then I go and redo the shape exactly. And then meanwhile, temporary can use. Would I pay this loss? My answer to you, yes. We pay this loss pending the flying in of the parts, which can take you months. So insurance is something that we help the client to get back into the order business so that they don't lose the customers to other competitors. Okay. And finally, most customers are actually very genuine customers. They don't want to make claim one. My honest view, they only want to have continue to do their business. So as far as they're concerned, they do peace of mind. What you sell to them as an agent, they believe you. They say, I want a one-ton mee. How much? 8 ringgit. Okay. They never ask much. When they come to claims not payable, they say, what lah, this agent never tell me what is covered, what is not covered, But when you talk to them, they don't want to know what is covered, is not covered. My honest view. Even you tell them also, no. So I have actually handled many claims, even recently, to help people only. But what I'm saying is that you'll be surprised that the client will blame the insurance company, will blame the agents for not informing them. So as far as you're concerned, you have to actually tell them there is a gap in cover. This gap in cover can be taken care of, but if you choose not to insure MB, fine, but you must do the job, inform them. Now coming to informations on risk assessment, basically insured can budget an affordable premium. I think it's only 0.2 to 0.5, so no big deal. Technical support is all there, isn't it? All these have been there. Okay. So the only few things that you need to bear in mind is that any breakdown could hit you very hard. So the machinery breakdown, actually, what for risk evaluation we'll look at is the inventory available with age, values, and critical items. So usually we will find out from this item if it's really locally available, then of course the rates were usually lower. But if the local parts is not available, you find the rates is towards the 0.5% higher. Okay. The other thing is we also make sure that the client have actually what we call a statutory body. That means to say that renew and of course making sure somebody check the machines under the OSHA, Occupational Safety Health Act. Okay. And thirdly, we also want the client also to make sure that there is enough room for them to move around for inspection, for checking daily checking, daily inspection by the own staff, not by the OSHA. So this is to make sure that the plant actually being examined, maintained, and so forth. Even cleaning is an issue. Because if you don't clean, generally you find that the dust plus the sweating can create what I call an arcing. Now, arcing is due to this. But of course, if you're talking about semiconductor plant and they are all very nicely done, then it's different because they're called clean room. Okay, but most of the plant we have seen factory, they are not clean room. Another point that we realized is called maintenance and annual shutdown, according to the manufacturer's specification. So usually they are put up to them to say you must plan ahead to order the parts before your annual shutdown. Now, there's not so easy said than done. So what they do is they actually have to plan, let's say December. But it may not be December. Someday they move into January, February. It all depends. But you can only delay maybe 1 or 2 months, that's all. So just like, for example, the boiler, we say, okay, 12 months. At the most, we give you the maximum is 15 months. But unfortunately, I have to tell you this bad story about Sabah Forest because they're always in their mindset. I asked them, I will stay there in Sepitang for 4 days for a survey. But basically what I understand is that there have been in the culture. The culture is that every 18 months only they do the shutdown and also inspection. every 18 months, which is, I'm not sure, questionable, right or wrong. So I cannot challenge them because I don't have the information. So what I did was I actually invited Factory Mutual from America. They are my core partners. So to fly over to see whether this risk is writable. And of course, I'm already writing anyway. I want to offer to you on reinsurance. You want or not? Scale of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 is the lousiest. They say it's a scale on 5 because of this maintenance. And also the boiler is called a black liquor recovery boiler. It's 18 months shutdown, which is bad. It is not good. So the other thing is that we learn from them is that the Lion Group suffer for us to have this the lack of this chance of what they call having this understanding what are the failures in a pulp and paper mill. Because in Malaysia, there's only one pulp and paper mill, which is this client called Lion Group. That's all. So in Indonesia, you have plenty, but in Malaysia, only one, satu saja. So therefore, they do not have that expertise. So they should by right be a member of the Black Liquor Recovery Committee. So you can learn from other people for the mistake or the accident that happened in America, Canada, and so forth. So this guy from Factory Mutual, I requested him to give the whole compendium after you've surveyed to give it to my client. And he did, okay? And also asked him to generate a CD of all those accidents, which you can take away those P&C and then give it to them so that they can learn from them. Oh, so this is real life, okay? So the other thing that we learned is that if you purchase from a company, let's say Toshiba, I just make an example, Toshiba. And of course, after your warranty is over, don't you think so that you should continue with the service agreement with them? The warranty is over, but you can still continue with the service agreement with the particular company, isn't it? I think that is the right way. So this is what I'm trying to explain to them, to have this so-called manufacturer service agreement continuously. Okay. So we have actually seen power plant, like for example, SPR when I was in Generali. And what happened is that they have no claim for the first 3 years. On the 4th year, they have 2 big claims. And due to big claims is I got a shock is because it is not the manufacturers who do the servicing for them. They're going to pass it to TNB. So I say this is terrible. How can TNB service those things which is done by another manufacturers? So after the claim, we have changed it back to the original equipment manufacturers to do the servicing, not TNB anymore. So this is something that you need to bear in mind, that we have also learned something and we guided the client. We do not want the client suddenly the rate went up, excess go up, everything go up, So we do not want that. The client also do not want that. It's only 3 years old and you have this type of problem. Okay. So the other thing that we see in risk assessment is that whether it's a simple risk or complex risk, especially do you need high maintenance? So most of your client as agents today in Malaysia, I think you are trading with, they are usually very simple. The maintenance are also not expensive. Not like those just now I show you the whole list there where they're very expensive. Okay. And of course, the other thing is whenever you approach GE or the underwriters or the marketers, always remember to get the loss history. The loss history usually be asking for between 3 years to 6 years. Not anything beyond 6 years, because anything beyond 6 years is called the Limitation Act. Whatever you tell me is useless. We only wanted between 3 to 6 years, and to tell you that the claims is actually still there. The claims may be there and reported, may not be a claim. It's just a loss history. So the only thing that we look for is the incurred claim, paid claim as well as outstanding claim. That will be enough. At the same time, we also want to generate to see what is the premium for the last 6 years. From there, we can see whether the adequacy of premium compared to the late claims. These are the standard requirement, I think so. Okay. Now, underwriting limitations and concern. Generally, I would think that all insurance companies have no limitation with motor insurance because nobody buy reinsurance for motor. Do you know that? They only buy for liability. They call it combined excess of loss liability. Because when you hit somebody, it is called unlimited liability. That's why they only buy CXL. But fire, how about fire? Fire, they got big capacity because reinsurers love it. So I told you already, they only take 3 million. So the balance is all given to the reinsurers. So therefore, this limitation is that the underwriters can do whatever is dictated by the reinsurers. Okay, very good. The only thing is for engineering is slightly different because many people do not give you high capacity for engineering due to the concern of losses. I'll explain to you why. First thing is we have to pay for the loss adjuster bill, we have to pay for the claim, and we have to pay for the forensic or professional engineers. Because all loss adjuster which I worked before is that they are not good enough to tell you what was the loss, why was the loss, is this loss payable or not, is it due to wear and tear or not. All these 4 questions, I can guarantee you, no one loss adjuster can give you the answer. Okay, this is real life. So therefore, they need the professional engineer to give his report, and in his report, sometimes they do calculation also. Okay, so that is the reason why it inflated the claim, because we have to engage forensic, we have to engage professional engineers. Okay, so the first thing that you bear in mind, the insurers will reject a claim is when there is a lack of maintenance or no maintenance or poor maintenance, or you never follow timely scheduled maintenance. So the first thing the loss adjuster will look for is they will not pay. So if you have this type of client, don't bring it into business because they won't pay the claim. Okay. Generally, machinery which is put into market in the first year, which has no record of reliability or teething issue. These are usually called prototype. If this machine is already in the market in Brazil, in UK, in Japan, that is not an issue. But you're talking about a product which is new. For example, a car can fly one. That is called a new product. This is called prototype because it's first of its kind. Now, EV is not new. EV is more than 1 year already. Many, many years. We're talking 1 year means first year. So it has been in the market many, many. So it's no longer an issue. Okay. Aging machines that should have refurbished or reconditioned. Now, even like, for example, all age machines, all aging machines, they are equally new. All you need to do is just take out the organs and replace the parts. This is called what? Refurbishment, reconditioning, and another word called revamping. So they will use this type of word to make sure that the machine is no longer an old machines. It is like a new, because it's only the housing, the shell is the same. You just give a coat of paint, but inside are all brand new. It is exactly like a new machine. Okay, so this is not a concern if you know. In fact, I never use age as a touching point. My only concern is that machine have never insured before. Now they take it up with GE. That is only my main concern, because they could have enjoyed no claim, and suddenly these few years are so many claims, they decided to insure. That is where you need to be concerned. Why? Because all these years there's no maintenance, and therefore it's going to be a bad thing for you. So the other thing we also look at is, do they have a maintenance staff called maintenance crew? We know that the operators are experienced, but sometimes or other we need to make sure that the maintenance crew are being trained and retrained, because technology have changed. Today, you don't believe me, you ask those mechanics who repair cars. There are plenty of mechanics everywhere, but do they know how to repair an EV? I would put a question mark now because I don't have an EV car. But the question here is, if you send it back to the franchise, you are still safe. What do they replace? Nothing much. Mainly electrical item. They will tell you one thing, the salespeople, the sales lady will tell you, no maintenance at all. And I'm telling you, not true. It's mainly more on electrical issues that you need to be watch out. Okay. So engineering claims on breakdown is not really an easy things to do, because most of the insurers, they always make sure that the client do something. Like example, near miss breakdown. Near miss means no breakdown or almost going to break down. So the idea here is they want to find out what was the root cause, what actually caused these so-called a ball bearing, a ball becomes long one. I've seen it myself. A ball bearing is ball becomes long one. So these are the things that we need to identify by using forensic and professional engineer. And unfortunately, by engaging these people, you're going to raise the claim cost. That is the issue we are facing. Okay. So these are many things that we are concerned about. That's why you can see that engineering insurance is not always something that underwriters are likely to be happy to write. They only write machinery breakdown insurance provided the fire insurance come alongside. You believe me? I've not seen one insurance do that. only myself during my time, I will run to the site and survey in police. And of course, this is a textile mill. And I went there and I just do the engineering part. And of course, I'm taking a bigger share compared to AIG. So AIG taking 30%, I'm taking 70%. But I do most of the work by running there and doing a survey. Okay, so this is something that doesn't happen always. Because that time business is hard to get. You don't wait for fire and then do the engineering. Sometimes I also do miscellaneous classes without fire also got. Those were the time because it is very hard to get business. So we need to manage our loss ratio. That's all. So the other thing is insurance is not aware of the importance of review of sum insured. So why? Because they always renew same term. This is the standard operating procedure of most of your client, isn't it? Renew lah, same term lah, same sum insured, everything same lah. Unfortunately, average will come in. Average means under insurance because this policy is very different. It's insured on new replacement value. So when they come to claims, they will find out whether the sum insured divided by value at risk times the loss. If your sum insured always remain the same, your value at risk won't be the same. You know why? Because of a devaluation of the ringgit. Remember that. Okay? The staff salary have gone up. When I start to work, my salary is only 400. Okay? Today, you see the graduates come up from diploma or degree. How much do they earn? 3,000. About that. In Singapore is also 3,000, but Sing dollar. Freshie, freshie. Okay, I'm just telling you, fresh graduates. So it's very different. So therefore, this sum insured will have to go up because of labor cost increase, the currency devaluations, and of course, you cannot deal with this. Every year got inflation, minimum 3%. Okay, you can just go into the CPI. You just type there in our own statistics. You can see already. The statistics will tell you. Okay, so this data will describe what is it. Generally, I would think that you as an agent or even the financial advisors will find it very difficult to convince insureds to insure on new replacement value. But you have to do it. All you need to do is to show them that this is the machine. Example, this is a machine. Okay. Now you need this machine to fly the parts from, let's say, another country. Let's say Japan, fly over to Malaysia. This flying here is all paid by the insurance claim. Once it landed in Malaysia, the part is subjected to 45% tax, custom bond tax. This tax is going to add up the cost of this particular item called parts. And of course, once you landed there, you got to dismantle the machine. You need labor. After that, you put in this part, take away the old parts, and then close back the housing, and then re-erect again and test labor costs. So we are paying labor costs, we are paying for freight charges, and also the custom tax. So all these are paid because of the word we insure for new replacement value. Okay, so we do not have deduction for wear and tear. Bear in mind, because 99% of the losses is due to what? 99% is due to partial loss. Hardly see one machinery a total loss one. Hardly. The only time is exploded or collapsed. That's all. Otherwise, every machinery is partial loss, and therefore we will not deduct for wear and tear. Wear and tear means what? Depreciation. Okay. Types and importance of maintenance made available. Generally, I would think that there are so many types. You can see that there are some time or other, we can see many people say, "Oh, you breakdown." Oh. That is called unplanned breakdown because it is not planned to break down. It's supposed to be an annual shutdown, then only you change parts, isn't it? This will disrupt the entire production. Okay. The other thing which we also look at is, do they actually change the tires? For example, like your car, do they change tires every how many years? For me, I always make sure it changes every 2 years. Safety first, because the only object that your car and the road is the tires and the brake. You don't change your tires or make sure your tire in tip-top condition, you got a problem. When you're really running at a high speed, you do not know. See, so it's better to be safe. So preventive means it's time-based. So you either change it per year basis, or in the case of the parts, you have to make sure it runs 6 months or 10,000 kilometers, whichever comes first. If let's say within 3 months, you already hit 10,000 kilometers, you have to actually service. So this year alone, I've been servicing twice already. Only 3 months only a service. The service in January, then recently service again. Why? Because 3 months I hit 10,000 already. So these are standard operating procedure. So how many people will do that? Now under warranty, you all will do that, but outside warranty, you all don't do that. But I've been driving my earlier car. This is 14 years old, and of course, it is all serviced by the same franchise, which is Toyota. Now I change it to Honda. What I'm saying is it's basically we make sure that this is called preventive, it's time-based. Now, the other third one is called predictive maintenance, is using a kind of machine to check to make sure that this is what I call the tools that we use to make sure that the scope. For example, when do we actually do medical checkup? Yearly for me. But when I get older, maybe I will do twice yearly. This is actually the normal routine medical checkup. For older people, I see them go to the hospital, government hospital. They always have the 6 months, 6 months. It's very standard. And of course, it is also good because it actually can detect possibility of defects, faults, and things like that. And annual shutdown is a must. No postponing, no delaying. That is not allowed. And of course, this is good time for you to change the consumable parts. Consumable parts means this part sure wear and tear, like filter, oil, isn't it? Oiling you have to change, but have to, because it serves as a lubricant. It's a cooling effect. Then the other thing is what they call the statutory check inspection, which is I mentioned already, 12 months, 6 months, or 18 months. Overhaul, it depends on the manufacturers. There are certain machinery they want you to actually overhaul, like I mentioned earlier, the power plant. Power plant, this morning I mentioned is the inspection, sorry, the maintenance, it's called inspection A, B, and C. A means that you have to inspect the combustion chamber. If there's anything wrong, you have to change it. Then B inspection is actually you inspect the turbine and the generator, which is turbine and the compressor, and to make sure that they are in order. And then this is 3 years. And the last one is 6 years, is actually you check the combustion chamber, the turbine, and the compressor, and an entire system, including the electrical. So these are stipulated. But this is what they say only, but whether you follow or not. So the next question is, if your policy, nanti as insurers put in the clause to say it must be 4 years, I will show it to you, then you have to follow. If you cannot follow, inform the insurers, 4 tahun tak boleh. Can you make it longer or not? Up to you. But you need to be mindful that when you put a clause, make sure your client can comply. Make sure, If you cannot comply, then don't put it in. Then you have to actually argue with your insurers because it doesn't make sense, no? Because insurers are not really something that they know everything. So this all can be discussed. Usually we will always have an opening year. Stock inventories are usually kept, but usually they don't want to duplicate. Only at time they keep stocks only for the time of annual shutdown. So they will actually know what stock to order already. Training, retraining of maintenance crew, very important. Training and training of operators. And of course, making sure the maintenance is done this way. Sometimes daily, every day, weekly, and monthly, quarterly, and even half yearly. Annual shutdown is a must. So type predictive maintenance, what do you think about it? Generally, I can think that these are all the holes of it. It doesn't make sense for you to read it, but I just highlight to you that they need infra imaging to detect hotspot. You cannot use the naked eyes because these are electrical items, transformer, furnaces, electrical wires, switch gear, rectifier, incoming. Oh, you cannot see one. So you need to have this so-called camera to use. If you have watched the movie, Arnold Schwarzenegger, which is called the Terminator, you can see the green color, orange color, yellow color, and red color. So this is where they tell you the hotspot. As regards to transformer, we always ask them to do the DGA, dissolved gas analysis, and also sometimes to the point of checking the oil spectrographer. As for the pressure vessels and storage tank, we also ask them to do X-ray to make sure there's no failure of welds. Ultrasonic inspection is to checking for those which is called cracks, especially like those let's say cement plant, or those you go to Ipoh or Perak, You see those limestone, all big one, no. Then of course you have to crush it in the ball mill. That ball mill sooner or later should kaput one. So therefore, these I'm talking about, you need to check the flaws and cracks of the ball mill. Endoscopic is a scope going to the machine. In the case like human being is going through the mouth, it's very painful. It's basically is to detect any what they call damages to the inside machine. Usually they're called moving object, like called the centrifugal machine, moving blades. So are there any damages to them or not because of entry of foreign materials, especially like a loose nuts. If a loose nut inside your housing, let's say for example, this is a machine, inside got a nut, it will you hit all your blades. So it's terrible, you know. And apart from that, you can see that you have to change the oil, electrical instrumentation, all this must be checked and so forth. And of course, for the boiler, you need to make sure the water that goes in must be actually register a pH level of 7 in between, neither acidic, neither alkaline, and also that they have this so-called total dissolved solid of calcium, magnesium, potassium, whatever is being monitored at the right dosages, like that. No? All this must be checked. Oh, so these are what they call the machinery that we see. Naked eyes see nothing. Here you can see the red color, and the temperatures are all registered here. Okay, and ultrasonic testing, all this to check the crack. Eddy current is also to check any unfamiliar flaws in the material. And this penetrance dye, see a 2 pores there. And of course, now they need to register this and then make up for the 2 pores don't have a pores. Magnetic particle testing of steam piping and fluorescent magnetic pulse testing also. Okay, all this need to be done. X-ray of section of the weld, because of the radiography cannot see whether you've done a professional job or otherwise. Okay, endoscopy of a steam turbine, you can see the blade inside whether there are any damages. Okay, so basically these are some of things that we have find it is very common. Example, losses not covered under definitions. Everything is covered. The only thing that we don't cover is what they call wear and tear. Or sometimes you run the machines beyond the normal speed, because let's say you run a certain speed, but you run beyond that, 150% is quite a lot. It's called beyond the design speed, which is not allowable. So it doesn't cover what they call deliberately done by human being. You know it, you hear the sound, but you say, now mine, continue doing. Let it run until breakdown. That is no good, because it's deliberately done. You have to stop the machine and then check. It does not cover what we call damage due to failure, which is result of not following the manufacturer's maintenance requirement. Okay, the manufacturers are quite serious with this. You have to follow to that duration, the time, and all that. And also for the statutory authorities, they need to do the inspection according to the time frame. Mentioned usually 6 months, 12 months, 18 months. Quite standard. Okay, before I go to B, just want to find out any questions, Nurul? From the chat box, any questions from the A?
So far, there's no question from the audience today.
Very good. This morning also no. Okay, I will pursue forward. Okay, the second part here is how to secure the business. Now, it's not something easy or magical. It's something that we need to evaluate and review the terms. If the term is too fine, you find that nobody insure. Quote and unquote, press metal in Sarawak. One agent managed to, in fact, he's the broker, and then he become an agent. And what he did was he turned around the policy, which is self-insured by the insured by 20%. Insurance company is insuring 80%. The insured cannot place for the insured the 20%. So he's self-insured for 2 years. On the 3rd year, the same broker becomes an agent, took over and then managed to place some overseas. So it's 100% place. Okay. The only good and not good point is that the premium may have jumped up. I don't know. The excess may have jumped up also. I don't know. I do not see the policy. But what I know is that this agent earns, I think, 20 million as a commission. Commission, not premium, commission 20 million. Okay. One account only, Okay. But of course, they cover all other classes. So you can imagine this is not subsubscribe, everybody can do it. The question is, how do you do it only? Okay. So basically, you need to look at is the type of machine, equipment, and of course the inventory. So most of the client, if they have a very good system to detect all this, that means they have to use electronic system, computer system, so that we one look at it, I know. Okay, so for example, we have done for Henkel Oleo. Now it's called Cognis, I think, or Emery. The first time I did with Henkel Oleo is actually all using box file. All the parts are all in box file. So there could be a many box file. Oh my God, how am I going to go through all this? Today, no need. Because basically it's all captured into the system. We need them to give us the system to tell us that they have actually been checked, monitored, and also they have the maintenance done. That is what we want. And all the inspection also done. So very critical is that they must have the maintenance and the statutory to comply with. Number two is assess the risk of critical machines. So those machines I call it critical is like, for example, you have only one transformer. If that transformer kaput or damaged due to breakdown, you can stop because you cannot buy one this transformer. You take you 9 months to 12 months to buy one new transformer. So during the 12 months, what you do? Close shop. Close shop. Totally close shop. So of course they don't do that. What they do is they have to buy, borrow, and steal, which I used to ask the loss adjuster to help me to get it from Malaysian Transformer at even higher price. You cannot go to Thailand Transformer to buy, borrow, and steal. Don't care how, but you got to get it. After which, I got to pay a high claim. Okay, because every day we're going to lose money. So the third point is maintain and implement risk mitigation strategies. We always ask our client to always have this so-called maintain scheduled. Schedule means you follow to the date and time, regardless whether you're under warranty or not even under warranty, because all this must be documented. When it comes to claims, you find that you do not follow this, I already repeat many times, the insurers will not pay the claim. Okay. Generally, with a good claims account, you find that the terms are much better in terms of what? Reduction in rate. So we have quoted machine breakdown as low as 0.2 and below. And there's nothing wrong because the experience is so good that you can't even imagine. Okay. So earlier on, Henkel Oleo have many claims. But of course, the later part, this Emery had converted to Cognis. Cognis become Emery. Claim experience was so good, the rate was even below 10 cents. Okay. So much so that so low, nobody want to participate. That's the reason why now. So a lot of them will just say bypass it, don't want they don't want to insure because they set in their mind that I must have a minimum rate. That is the underwriting prerogative, nothing to do with me. But there have been a good account. The reason why they early on have many claims is because they have a hydrogen plant, and that hydrogen plant creates a lot of problem. Claims, breakdown claims. And of course, later on, they decided not to use the hydrogen plant, discontinue, and the claims was excellent. For the next 10 years, no claimant. Okay. So the next point is the evaluation and assessment can be conducted by various methods. So normally when you say evaluations means if I want to accept it, I need information to see whether it's writable or not, isn't it? So usually we're basing on the historical claims. And these are what they call incurred. Incurred means outstanding and paid. So that will tell us, generally speaking, compared to the premium and the claims, are we still okay? Now, as an underwriter, very simple. If the claims is more than the premium, you can forget it already. You raise the premium, isn't it? And secondly, you have to add in your commission to the agents and the brokers. Thirdly, you have to add in what they call other expenses like survey and all that, because survey sometimes or other we will get third-party surveyors to do, because some of them are quite complicated, so we have to get the external people to do it, and that costs extra money. Okay, so therefore, when you add up all these costs, whether it's easy to do or not, this is where I'm saying evaluation. Okay, now coming to the provision one, this morning there's one lady is talking about this memo one provision. What is that? In fact, if you look carefully at the policy later on, you find that there's one word called memo one provision. It says that the MB policy or machine breakdown policy will cover reinstatement value clause. So what I'm trying to say is that the majority of breakdown, I would say 99% are partial loss. And this partial loss means involving changing of parts. Now imagine this machine is 20 years old. The parts inside is also 20 years old. When it comes to claims, what parts they will put in? Today. Today parts are all brand new. So of course, naturally, we have to put in, you cannot get 20 years old parts and then put inside, isn't it? We don't do that. So this is where I'm talking about reinstatement value. Means the parts we put it in is exactly brand new. Okay, and we do not deduct for wear and tear. That's a good point. So in the event of a claim, we will pay accordingly. Okay, the only thing you need to bear in mind is that the adequacy of sum insured so that you don't have this under insurance. Secondly, is you negotiate the excess, no? The deductible. So the excess, if you have good experience, usually excess will come down lower, lower, lower. Okay. So for larger sum insured risks, generally insurers would appoint what they call a professional engineer. And that's what we used to do. And it's not cheap also. Huh? So there are many ways of doing it. So the sharing of these fees to engage this engineering surveyor is usually done by the co-insurers and reinsurers. So we are very happy with getting this side of things done because we make sure that the risk is something that we can adjust. We can make sure that this is a proper way of underwriting. Just underwrite is not like a motor car. You buy issue policy. No, not like that. We have to underwrite it by looking at the survey report. We follow the surveyors. We come back and discuss with the client and find a lot of ways to improve the risk over time. Not 1 year, not first year, many years. 1 year, second year, third. Every year we do a survey. So in fact, for the Lion Group itself, we have spent $500,000 every year to pay to this surveyor. He is a multi-millionaire surveyor. Of course, he now is residing in Australia, and I still keep in touch with him. And he collaborated with me last year to do. He does survey, I do underwriting, because he's not an underwriter. So I do all the underwriting assessment for him. He does all the survey for the client, and the broker requested for this. Okay, so that's how we do it. So generally, I think that this are when we showed to you already. Sorry about this. Just this morning, I just want to show it to the other guys. So question number C is coming now before question frequently asked question. So any questions at all for this B, selling of this insurance? In any problem? Do you find any issues that you don't understand or you need me to repeat? Any areas? You can unmute yourself if you want to speak to me, no problem. I can't see you anyway. I will just stop talking to the A, talking to myself like a DJ. So Nurul, no question?
Yes, no question.
Good. Okay, then we go to FAQ. Now, these FAQ are all designed by myself. So what's first thing first is, does this machine breakdown insurance cover all machines? The answer is no. The cover is designed to be machine specific, allow you to attach cover for your selected machines. Now, when I say selected machine means you can have a lot of machines, could be, let's say, 100 million. You cannot be insured 100 million, all the machinery. So what you basically make sure that is some of the items I may want to insure, but you cannot anti-select the insurers. What do you mean by anti-selecting? Say, for example, you have 4 transformer. 1, 2, 3, 4. And number 4 is say, always all breakdown. So you only insure 4, but you don't insure 1, 2, and 3. That is not good. That is called anti-selecting. If you insure all the 4 transformer, that is okay. Okay, so that should be the way we are looking at. Okay, but of course, insurers will have a different way of underwriting it, different charges for the transformer number 4. Okay. While the machine breakdown can cover a wide range of machinery, it's crucial to understand and doesn't necessarily cover all your machines. The selection will not cover obsolete machine, the rule number 1. Obsolete means this machine have no parts available. If they have a breakdown, you have to pay a new machine because you cannot put parts, no parts. Just like our Vera, the car Vera. Where do they get the parts? They get it from another car, a second-hand Vera car, isn't it? So that's what they call no more parts in the market. Secondly, equipment in poor conditions. Poor condition means they are already in a shape that it will break down. It's a matter of time only. Okay? So if you buy a second-hand machine and the person who drives the vehicles have been selling the second driver, third driver, fourth driver, fifth driver, and then of course by the time reach you, they are the 10th driver. Imagine you don't even have the record of the maintenance. You don't even have the idea, the condition of that machine, and you're going to buy this machine at a very low price. Then you find yourself only doing maintenance only, nothing else but servicing, changing parts, and so forth. Because every parts need to be changed. Okay. The other one is actually called pre-existing defects, meaning that the defects is inherent. It is already there. So it means to say that if there's defects is there, all we can do is basically is to understand, how do I know that this is pre-existing? I won't know until a claim happened. Then we will ask and find out lah. So one of the classic example I did was called the CCM, Chemical Company of Malaysia. And this has been closed down 2 years ago. And what happened is that when I was there, we together with the loss adjuster, we actually asked this gentleman to explain to us how you discover the damage. He said that in fact it was before damage. We hear a lot of noise, so we actually monitor for some time, and then we know that the annual shutdown is coming in December, so we ordered the gear, and the gear arrived somewhere earlier. And 2 weeks before the annual shutdown in December, which is in November, it breaks down. So that's the story. And my answer to this loss adjuster is that we will not be paying this claim because it is a pre-existing defects. Nobody of a sound mind would go and arrange to buy a gear months ago, isn't it? Because it's going to break down anyway. It's a matter of time only. It's just that it's faster by 2 weeks only. That's all. So the client accepted it. This is what they call pre-existing defects. Just like you buy medical insurance, a pre-existing illness or sickness or disease, isn't it? And mobile equipment, generally speaking, the maintenance is usually very poor because of the number one, the attitude of the people. Number two is they also park the vehicles anywhere in the aggravated environments. So generally we are not so happy, okay. So don't assume that all machines will be automatically covered by this MB policy. So usually what they do is you have to communicate as an agent to your marketers that services you. And also you can have a word with your marketers and also underwriters, see whether that can be considered to insure. Okay. If it's already insured with another insurance company, I think lesser problem because they have the history. If it's totally a new, and this new means new account to GE, but this account have been there for years and have never taken out MB, then of course you have to start all over again to find out why they want this insurance and so forth. See whether suitable or not. It doesn't mean that ultimately they will take the MB policy, because if they don't have any insurance, they could have losses before, but it's not paid because they don't have MB insurance. Why do I need this? I have a warranty or guarantee. Generally speaking, I would think that machinery warranties also have exclusions. They will exclude breakdown due to the users or accident damage caused by the operators. They will not cover all this. So you have to fall back onto your MB policy. Okay. The other thing is the warranties is also limited. Let's say, for example, 12 calendar months, after which that's it already. And of course, when there's a claim, usually we ask the client to go after the manufacturer's warranty because they have no deductible. If there's payable, that is usually. But the MB LOP, who pays? The warranty don't pay. So that's the reason why you have to buy MB and MB LOP. You cannot just buy MB LOP without MB. So this is where I'm trying to explain why we need to have MB policies, and then you can purchase the MB LOP, although you have a warranty. Okay, but the rates are quite low when you have a warranty. I mean, we will charge lower, but you have to inform the insurers if this is still under guarantee. How do we insure machine and some insured in MB policy? Generally speaking, like I mentioned, you can select. You don't have to insure all machineries. You only need to prospect to those certain machinery. For example, maybe all the printers, only Owens, or certain kind of CNC machine. CNC stands for computerized numeric control machine. This is coming from where I mentioned to you, IR 3.0 means automated, it's instrumentation. Okay. And of course, the other thing is we need to understand whether the insured, when they select this machinery, is it basing on book value, market value, or purchase order value? Then we don't know. We want to make sure they're actually insured on the current new replacement value. If they only estimate on current market value, we don't want one. We cannot. You're bound to be underinsured because generally speaking, they're underinsured. We have pay. I mean, they come to claims that we have pay lesser. Okay, so determining of the sum insured, remember again, it is the machinery I mentioned here, the replacement cost, not limited to including freight charges here, the freight charges here in the bracket, custom duties and labor costs. Of course, you can also include insurance because they also buy insurance, you know. So the sum insured should reflect the current replacement value or simply called full replacement value and not the original purchase price. That is important. So regular review every year. Preferably, yeah, the sum insured should go up. So normally people price come down, isn't it? The people think so lah. But MB policies, the price always goes up. Sum insured goes up. Okay, that is important point to bear in mind. Otherwise, under insurance will apply. And finally, the maintenance of the record. Always ensure that the client maintain proper maintenance record. This is to demonstrate that they actually have this so-called maintenance in place, and then there's a breakdown, we still pay. There's no issue. We don't want the client to have no maintenance at all and treat our machine breakdown policy as a maintenance policy, then sorry lor. There's some people do that. They don't want to maintain the machinery, and they're thinking that if I buy insurance, that I buy insurance take care. You know? It's just like you buy life insurance and buy health insurance. You buy health insurance, that means you can do anything you want. You know? Not like that. No? I don't think you should be like that. No? Okay. So why do breakdown happens in machinery? There's nobody can tell you when it breaks down and why it breaks down. It can be many things. And of course, these are not something that you plan for. Is a plan for, it's called foreseeable already. So because it is not planned for, it's called sudden and unforeseen, and therefore we will pay the claim, provided this is not due to wear and tear. If it's due to wear and tear, the parts we will not pay. Okay. Mechanical breakdowns could be due to failure of the machine part due to wear and tear, due to tiredness called fatigue, due to the defects in the material in use, and the defects while you're casting it or manufacturing it. Now, these all are human beings. It is not us, no, not the operators. I'm just a buyer. I use it only. But it can happen that the material use is wrong. So what they do is, if they find that this is wrong, the manufacturer will give you a new machine, a totally new machine, because it is their fault. Okay. In fact, some of these makers or manufacturers, they actually try and error. You can see even cars today, they have so many facelift, changing, but the engine is the same. What they have changed is only just to attract you to buy only. But the engine is still the same, isn't it? So if the engine is not performing, you find that a lot of people will just don't buy that model. That's it. Don't buy model at all. Secondly, is electrical breakdown. Is essentially power surges, short circuiting, or overheating. There are certain model why we don't buy. Of course, we can name Hitachi, Panasonic, or whatever. So why does people choose certain brand and doesn't choose other brand? Some of this could be because of their history of experience. Some of even the vendor who sell you the machine say this brand is how good, you know. That brand they never comment, but they always sell their own brand, you know. So again, you are the best judge to know that electrical breakdown can happen to a certain type of machinery because of lack of quality control or quality assurance. Could be. The third one, it could be operational errors, which is why it breaks down, is always human error, such as using the wrong setting, overloading of the machines. Overloading means you put a lot of stress onto the machine, okay? Because let's say, suppose it carry 10-ton loads. You go and put 20-ton loads also can. Instead of running 2 times, run 1 time, 5 miles, quick, you know. But you're going to create a lot of stress to your machine. That will lead to breakdown. And of course, external factor is beyond your control. It's called public utilities failure. And you cannot claim against those guys. For example, the press metal, they had a claim. And that claim was due to the power outage for 6 hours. It was insured with Etica. And press metal announced to all their stakeholders, because they all buy share my press metal. And they say that this claim, don't worry, it will be paid. I can assure you that will never get paid, because within 6 hours, the electrical back already. So the policy say what? Within 24 hours, you must exceed these 24 hours, only then the policy will trigger. So don't claim, no? So of course, they can explain to the stakeholder. But what I'm saying is the claim is 150 million, my dear friend. It's not paid. But the second claim was paid by MSIG, because they do not know that the policy is drafted such a way that it can have molten breakout. So the one in Muka and Bintulu are different plant, different specifications. So the other one that is a older one, it breaks through the pots, and that created a fire. That claims was paid. And that claim is also close to 150 million, my dear friend. Okay, so you can imagine that this type of claims does happen. And today you find that press metal don't have this cover anymore called molten breakout. In my time when I was insuring all those steel mills and aluminium and so forth, I never give this molten breakout because it is called foreseeable. It will happen. It will definitely happen only when only. Okay, so you need to check the lining, the refractory lining. You need to check every after how many burning they call after how many hits. You got to check. You got to stop and check. Now they're doing it, but after paying the claim. So why management agents struggle to secure and promote machine breakdown insurance? Few things happen. I believe this is my own understanding is lack of awareness by the business owner because they did not come and see you, and neither have you opened your mouth to explain to them that there's a machine breakdown cover, which is to close the gap of no cover. So a lot of people associate the breakdown is covered under your insurance because they don't understand. So therefore, you need to actually be mindful that MB is totally not a fire insurance. It's not a perils insurance. It is a breakdown internally. Secondly, is because agents may have lacked sufficient knowledge about the machine breakdown insurance. Maybe the more you attend my class, you realize you're better informed. Then you will actually able to explain to your client. Okay. So generally speaking, I would think that you are no different from the broker. Because broker will also every time they will explain to the client that got this cover. But if the client chooses not to insure, it's okay. You have done your job, discharge your duty to promote the cover to your client. Okay, you don't let your another agent, another broker come and attack your account because they will recommend machinery breakdown and MBLOP. Then you got a problem. Okay, cost perception is always high as far as the business owner is concerned. Now, many people starting new business, of course, they do not spend a lot of money in insurance, thinking that insurance is a cost. But when they realize the importance of insurance, claim are just paid like that, like that, Your premium is only 0. Not even 1 ringgit, 0.2 to 0.5. I was telling one particular client, of course, it's not machine breakdown. The premium is around less than 1,000 ringgit. I was having beer with him, and within one day, we can spend about 1,000 ringgit beer and with a couple of people. 1,000 ringgit in one day. So what is the problem with having this premium insured for MB? I couldn't understand. So these are something that you can actually insure it, and also you can claim tax deduction anyway, isn't it? So you got to be mindful to actually promote it. But if the client choose not to take the cover, it's another issue. Underestimate the likelihood the machine may not experience breakdown. Now, not to say we are knowing whether it will break down or not. If we have done proper maintenance and we have the maintenance people to guide us, then we will not be wrong. For example, today you buy a new machine, new car, whatever. If you follow to that standard operating procedure, you don't have a problem. So do you find a lot of cars today break down? Hardly. No breakdown. The only thing they break down is because they go and buy a second-hand car, whereby they have no history of maintenance. They don't know the issues. Because I study engineering and especially automobile engineering, I can tell you this. So there is an issues arising that they will experience breakdown if the first few years they would have not been able to maintain it, do proper maintenance. So the strategies to your agent here is basically deepen your knowledge, confidently explain its features and benefits to the client. Generally, I think that way the client will actually first year the knock. Second year, knock again. And then by the third time, they'll knock 3 times and they will ring a bell. What is this cover all about? So never give up. I would think that this is a way of doing it. So focus on the proposition and of course risk mitigation because they are basically an insured, so they would not know. But you have the insurance expertise. Bring along your marketers, bring along your underwriters to explain a bit more. especially when you are seeing the client, when your insurance is also around the same time. Focus on what is covered, what can be covered. Okay. So is mission breakdown survey required? So generally, I think no need, because honestly, at your level and even marketers, is difficult. I only have done survey for MBLOP. Is a chance is that the chances of an MBLOP claim is high, But itself standalone MB, I try not to do survey because it's also quite challenging to travel such a long distance. So normally either I take it or accept it. So it depends on various serious factors. Number one is the insurance company policy on survey requirement is you need to have a person who have the quality to do the survey. How many insurance company in Malaysia have engineering surveyor? That's the first question mark. Okay. Would your underwriters engineering would do a survey? A question mark again. Okay. For high-value machines to assess the conditions, vulnerability, breakdown, and potential repair costs. Of course, this is more purely underwriting, so I do not think we go into very detail on all this. Understand the potential risks and associated repair challenges. So the moment the client have a lot of challenges, they will ask you, can I insure this type of cover or not? Isn't it? Now you can see in Malaysia, most of the risks that we have insurance cover is by virtue of compulsory. Motorcar, 55% of the part of the insurance are motorcar is basically compulsory. Fire insurance is made compulsory because of the banks. And even after the bank have paid, you find this is a very important item. You will insure it even without a bank, isn't it? Because you learn insurance already. Travel PA is made compulsory because you see plane coming down, downing of the plane, isn't it? Especially MH370. So this is where, again, people buy it. Then the other type of insurance which they make compulsory. Liability, for example. Product liability, when you, for those manufacturers, so it become compulsory. So MB is not made compulsory. It's because people doesn't know that in fact they have a gap in cover. It's not just pure fire. Many of those clients of yours who are doing in manufacturing will find this is very useful kind of cover. You just consider. So as an alternative to survey, what we recommend is to review the existing survey report, whether it's a fire survey report or engineering survey report, review. Because no need to spend so much time and money for it, I honestly. And of course, you can take a virtual site survey. Just show a pictorial view of that. Then people say, this one, there's a very simple risk for agency business. I think it's very simple. No need survey one. But only thing you need a list of machinery beside just a pictorial view. And sometimes you may also have what they call a certain Q&A with the clients. So this you generate what they call the answers. This questionnaire was generated by risk engineer to the client, or those people like you, marketers also can, or for those agents also can. So a questionnaire is just a Q&A like I mentioned here, would make the client wanting to cover. So many insured, if they know about this cover, they will buy, I can assure you. Because I've been insuring a lot of machine breakdown cover for umpteen years. Okay. So before I jump to that next one, D, again, I go to Nurul. Any question in the chat box?
No questions.
Then you ask question now. Okay, before we go for a break, just cover this D, D1, D2, and D3. So business informations basically are something that we need to look at. Okay, so business information has a type of machine equipments, replacement value of machine and equipments, size of the business. I put in red the color because most of the agent business, you can see that they are all small, medium enterprise instead of those large enterprise. So I think there's no big issue. Complexity in the manufacturing, again, I will say that most of the agent business are quite straightforward. So you don't see any problem. So always go into asking about the financial statement of account, balance sheet, income statement. Why I'm asking this is because when there's a breakdown, you need to protect your profit. Isn't it? Everybody makes profit. You need to protect the profit. This is what I'm trying to say. So the breakdown here is could be the machine parts. It's not cheap, and of course the loss of profit area. Everybody thinking the loss of revenue or profit is coming from Firecon loss. No, not necessary. Machine breakdown also costs. In fact, like I mentioned to you about the press metal, the claims, the material damage of MB and machine breakdown is only a few million. The MB LOP is 140 over million. Just to let you know. For press matter, the claim is only a few million on the MB because it's to clear all those solidified items because no power. They're all solidified already. But the loss of profit because of to get back to business take them 6 to 9 months. And each day is money. Each particular day is money. Oh, so it sometimes could be 1 million per day. They make profit 1 million per day. They are talking counting by per day basis. Okay, so that's how they reach 150 million. The second thing is we look at is the machinery information, which is the type of machinery that you'll be looking for. So of course, there we look at is it automated? Most machinery today are automated. So the older version is in the 90s and year 2000 is computer numeric control. And now the next question is whether we can get it local parts or it's foreign make parts. That's the only thing. That will take a lot of time. Lead time will be longer if it is a foreign make. So the few things you need to bear in mind is we always see insurers will ask the year of make and the model. Of course, if you have not in the line, you will not know what is make and model for. Usually we ask for the machine, the year, the age. Of course, if they have been insured already, of course, we need to look at the history, the past maintenance record and the history of claim. Original purchase price and now the price called reinstatement price. And of course, if you last ask insurers, they would not know the price. They would not be able to guide you on the sum insured. You last ask the loss adjuster also don't want to undertake this job because there are too many OEM, too many original makers, too many machines, so they won't do it. So the client had to go back to the OEM and ask for the valuations for today. In case there's a claim today, what would be the price? And the claim for tomorrow, that is future. So these valuations usually are done by a qualified professional at least once. And then what they do is that every year they increase it in consideration of inflation and devaluation of our currency, in case there is. And lastly, additional information we will always ask for is loss history, the claims and the premium. And whether they do extra beside breakdown is called preventive, called time-based, which time we must service and all that. Predictive maintenance is more of what they call doing medical checkup or something like that. So which means to say, I just show you using cameras and so forth. Do they have that? But these are very expensive. So for small timer like SME, I don't think they will practice. Preventive maintenance maybe is under warranty, they will do it. Okay. Then the other thing we will look at is whether they have done a survey. If there's a survey, we will see whether any risk improvement recommendation, and we want to know whether that is already put in, implemented, carry out, or not. So very seldom we find engineering survey report, more on fire survey report, not engineering, very seldom. And of course, lastly, we also want to find out from the machine breakdown insurance, what are the clauses and any idea whether this need to conduct overhaul inspection by public authorities. Now, some of the clauses later on, I can show it to you under F. You find that they'll be insisting that you have to do an overhaul every 2 years or 4 years. So this becomes a must already because it's stated as a clause. So failing to comply with the clause is like failing to comply with a warranty or condition. So the claim can be actually stopped by it. So I don't want you to just suddenly realize that too late that you did not comply. So you have to know that such clause is added in. Can you comply? That's the question. Okay. So before I go to E, we have a stop here for about 10 minutes. You don't mind 10 minutes? So any question again?
Any
Any
questions from the floor before we go for short break?
It's a
But
very
got some
tough subject.
comments saying that all
Mm.
good means
All
your
good,
presentation is good. Yeah.
Thank you. So we will have a break and we'll come back at 3:50, just 10 minutes before 4. Then we will continue and then you can get more information about this subject. Okay? So 10 minutes, just have a short break. Thank you. Good. So we will restart from where we left behind. Any questions from the chat box? Or anyone would like to unmute yourself to ask question? It's okay. Okay. There's none. I'm going to start straight away. Okay. Question. Now, question is on this so-called targeting the right audience in MB insurance. So the first few things that we need to look at is basically agent marketers would need to conduct the following. I mean, this is just a guide only, huh? Market research. You have your existing client with you. So you have to check from time to time, have a word with them, coffee shop, kopitiam, and talk, and I need whether they need this so-called MB insurance. Looking at the machinery, you can guide them. If you do not have been to your place, it is a bit more difficult. You can start at small business. In fact, in somewhere in Shemling in Malaysia, here KL, I actually have one client, only five employees. Today is a multinational company in Penang. Okay, just to let you know, it can change to be that big from time to time. So naturally, the starting point is they may not have this cover, but when they come to this operation in the multinational setup, they will have to really make sure every machineries are insured, because they still have a lot of debts to pay to the bank and so forth, and the revenue need to be protected. That is the point I'm driving. So generally, there are some machineries that are specialized machineries, and it's one of its kind called tailor-made. It's just like you go to a tailor-made to your size. So there are high repair costs and high replacement costs. Okay. And of course, some of this machinery, when they first purchase, for example, the Lion Group, when they first started the business, the machinery are not brand new, are all secondhand from China. So of course, they have modified it to suit their needs. So business with aging machineries is very common. So they were faced with a higher risk of breakdown, and they also have a lot of this so-called corrective maintenance only. Corrective means unplanned breakdown. And unplanned breakdown is nothing wrong. It's just that it breaks down earlier than I expected, or it just breaks down because we only repair when it breaks down. Example, my air conditioner. I asked this question, I posed this question to the one who actually serviced my aircon. And there were about four aircons, and of course he have done all. Only two will require what they call gas. The other two no need because it's still okay. You reach 75%, it's okay already, he says. That is the standard. So the next question I posed to him, if you are now that you repair aircon and do servicing and cleaning, when do you need to repair? Is it 1 year, 1.5 years, 2 years duration? He said no need. As long as it is, as long as the machine is no longer cold, then you call me. Now this is nothing wrong, It's just the question is
now using the normal bill. Now using the normal bill.
So the next question here is basically we can look at the client.
Still want to using the IG.
Oh, IG also will come out, everything come out.
Oh.
Nurul, can you please mute this gentleman because he may not be aware he's on the air now. Okay. So anyway, some of these things do happen. And of course, we are not saying corrective maintenance is no good. It's just a question of preference. Okay. When you reach a certain level, you may not want to have this so-called happening, because when it comes to, let's say, go to a shopping mall suddenly no breakdown of aircon, who will come, isn't it? Those tenants will make noise, isn't it? So I've been insuring a lot those shopping malls from time to time. Those were the days. So I can expect this the issue. And today I'm teaching for more than 10 years already. This is called the Shopping Mall Association. And I also tell them the same thing. And every year there are different students because they need to have the CBD. Again, they have the CBD called accreditations. So I will tell them the issues that are rising. And I selected some of the cover. I only teach half a day, and the time is so compressed. I need to just speak enough, but not too many. And they are talking there face to face without looking at the slide because the slide keep on going already. So it's not easy to convince them. But of course, I hope that they pick up some of the learning point. So the businesses with aging machineries is very common, and of course, the only thing that I can help them is that they have to really change the mindset to put maintenance as the forefront. No? Oh, and of course, once they talk thinking of that line, then you can talk about machine breakdown. Because if they do not put maintenance in the forefront, thinking that you buy insurance, no use one. Because ultimately the insurance premium will go up, the excess will go up because too many breakdown. Okay. So let's go into some of the scenario. Now, first scenario is called construction firm experiences a breakdown in the excavator. Now, this is a mobile equipment which we normally don't want to write. And this is due to a faulty engine. And they filed a claim with the machine breakdown insurance, but the claim is denied. The reason for this repudiation of the claim is because it falls under breakdown is due to wear and tear. So normally we do not pay. Secondly, they also uncovered that the insured failed to follow the manufacturer's recommended maintenance schedule. In short, there are lack of maintenance. Thirdly is when they are doing and operating this so-called the excavator, they already had a known and undisclosed defect that contributed to the breakdown. So these are again called pre-existing condition. So these are the few points that I can highlight to you that why the insurers just walk out from this. Okay. So importantly is that we need to understand the cover and also what are exclusions before purchasing machine breakdown insurance. Secondly is making sure that the client do have maintenance, preferably have preventive maintenance. Thirdly is they also have the operators that are being trained and adhered to the safe operating procedure. So which means to say you don't overrun your machine. For example, you are working pressure, working temperature, working whatever they call it, working. You work along the same parameters. You don't work beyond the design. Isn't it? Something like that. Okay. So for example, the boiler is supposed to run about, let's say, churn out 300 psi, pound per square inch. You go run into a 450 design psi, isn't it? Or go beyond 450. And so far, I had one claim which we did not pay. It's called Ancum today. Last time it's called Diamond Shamrock. It's a fertilizer plant. It exploded. When we analyzed the claim, it turned out that they have clamped the shell of the safety valve. You clamp it, of course, it is blowing, like that, So basically, their clamming it is actually a prohibited act. And of course, they can be fined and also jailed by the so-called DOSH because of this act they're doing. Okay, so they can be fined. So normally we don't pay for this type of claim because you are doing something against the law. That's all. So normally we will not entertain. Okay. So the other thing is that the case of printing. Now the printing press is another case that is obtaining machine breakdown insurance for the presses. This is very common. And these are usually crucial because they do daily operations every time, So the agent needs to request for certain spec document to help them to understand what the client's insurance needs, and then only file in the application process. So essential documents generally I would think is the first get it from the owner, applications, or state any previous claim history in your submission, isn't it? And then you get hold of all the equipment's inventory, detail of maintenance history, if possible. Planned maintenance schedule have been done. And of course, you can put there, yes, I have been practiced, whatever. And whether some of the machinery have been modified or upgraded. Now, to me, modification of the machinery and upgrading machinery is okay because we have seen so many clients today when they first bought the machine, they don't change anything because under warranty. But you must remember the makers and the people who run the machine to generate profit are two different scenarios. Because the makers of the machine sometimes is not up to standard. So they have to modify it the moment the warranty is over. During the warranty, they can't do anything. Okay. Additional documents sometimes we may ask for is basically any previous survey report. And of course, if it's done professionally by another third party, we also like to have a look at the loss prevention plan and so forth. Okay. The third one is actually talking about the bakery. It's where we have a lot of bakery are nowadays in Malaysia, and they use industrial oven or sometimes commercial use to bake popular bread and pastry. Okay. When the oven malfunction due to faulty temperature control unit, then the unplanned breakdown can cause disruption of the production. So the bakery can close for many days, many months for repair. Consequences is without insurance is that the repair or complete replacement costs or loss of production can affect the sales. Spoilage of perishable goods, and regular customers are very dissatisfied because they want to come and buy, they cannot get their products. Okay. So the benefits of machine breakdown, I would think that is would be cost coverage, repair and replacement of the oven, is that this is taken care, is will be paid by the insurance company if you have the MB. Okay, the other thing is if there's any loss of profit and you have insured MB LOP, loss of profit insurance, then the policy will also trigger and pay. So the insurance will then usually what they do is they will provide some risk management to expedite, because every day if you cannot get the business back in operation, the MB LOP losses will be high. So usually they will participate as an insurer to reduce the timeline of getting back to business. Okay, so as far as the owner is concerned, you have a peace of mind because you can resume operation efficiently. Okay, and then of course your profit is taken care. Your policies will pay all the machine breakdown losses. So it's good. The fourth one is actually talking about CNC, computerized pneumatic control milling machines. And these are essential for producing engine components. And unfortunately, it suffered a sudden bearing failure while operating it. The unexpected breakdown brought about a halt to the entire operations. Consequences is that if without insurance, you have this so-called fulfill the repair, complete replacement cost, business interruption, employee may be laid off as there's no operations, isn't it? And of course, the other thing is reputation is damaged due to not able to fulfill the order. The benefit of insurance is cost coverage. Forget about the word oven here. I make a mistake for not removing that. Optional to cover loss of profits, peace of mind, and improved cash flow on ongoing operations. Okay, that's what I see, that if you can look at the scenario, the 5 scenario, you'll find that there are many ways of actually dealing with MB, how to handle it. Any questions before I move into the last 2 module, which is the military birding?
Peter Yong, my name is Anne. I just want to ask, normally if people were to buy machinery breakdown, how
Sure.
long the process for the claim to be effective, or it is knowable that it is payable?
Okay, talking about how fast is it?
Yes, what is the process like?
What's your concern? Because ultimately, if the claim is payable, it may take a little bit of time. But meanwhile, the important thing is that the insurers and the loss adjuster will help the client to get back into operation as soon as possible, so that they reduce the extent of the losses, especially for machine breakdown, loss of profit. MB is very straightforward. Let's say I break down a parts, I just buy the parts and then replace it. But the MB LOP is very concerned by the insurer. They are very, very concerned, not you. Insurer is more concerned.
Yeah, I understand. But what I'm trying to say is, for example, if a client just buy MB without the MBL, okay?
Okay.
So if MB, they will not do anything like purchase of machinery, the parts or whatever, until they prove that this is claimable, right? What is the duration like? How is the process? Because I've sold machinery breakdown before. Apparently, it's not as simple as what you have mentioned.
I see. So what sort of client is that? What do the business do they deal with? The one that you mentioned?
They actually manufactured this melamine ware,
Melamine ware, okay.
Yeah, that's right. There's something that stopped the machines from operating, proceeding, and then in the end, the adjuster's claim came out with almost dragged for almost 6 months. And they mentioned, didn't they buy MB? So they came out to say, oh, this is due to the fallen objects by the negligence of the staff. And my customers asking me, what is this? It's a machinery breakdown, right?
Okay, so in your particular case, what it's saying is that something that dropped into the machine, is it from external or internal?
They mentioned that it is the staff that is actually accidentally done it. So it is not something that is claimable within the wording.
Okay, I may not have the full-blown picture of it. But generally speaking is that the MB, that's assuming that it is not payable, they will drag on because they must make sure that the claim pay or not payable. In your case,
Right.
if I'm not wrong, it's because it is not payable. That's why they allow the client to appeal, and maybe they also want to find out further about the damage, whether it's payable or not, before they actually reject it. But if let's say it's payable, let's not put too senior, now it's payable. Usually payable, they will ask the client to proceed to repair it straight away. Today, the loss adjuster come. The next 2 days or so, they'll ask them to repair, go ahead. And that's it, very fast.
Oh,
But in your case, could be slightly different because there was a claim, but the claim is in the midst, whether it's payable or not. So they have to go into the root cause of the claim because you're not sure whether that is payable due to the staff, what they call I don't know what you call it, but I don't have the full picture. But basically, when I mentioned it, if it is due to the inadvertence, unskilled workers, and they cause the claim, strictly speaking, it is payable. All these are payable because machinery breakdown is a very wide cover. The only way to reject the claim is to have to look at the exclusions. So you have to argue on that point. Usually they give you a chance to appeal.
okay.
So wherever I work with, those companies I work with so far, I also deal directly with direct clients. No joke. I'm just like you, dealing with direct clients. No. So we have to go and see them, explain to them this basis, and we find all the ways to pay the claim.
But what
That's
if
my job.
what if there is an element of sabotage by the employees?
Oh, then sorry, sabotage. How do they know it's sabotage? That's called willful act.
Yeah.
It's very difficult because we have actually my predecessor who was in the engineering department before I took over the job from him. What he did was he wrote to Shen Delamore on this willful act and willful negligence. And the Shen Delamore, Mr. Radhakrishnan, said that no way can an insurance use these exclusions to reject a claim. And I agree with him. Because if you go into what they call the policy wording, you find that Munich Re have actually the newer version, not the older version. No, I'm teaching you here as the older version because there's no new version. The newer version, I realized that they have actually removed the word called deliberate act, which is called willful act and willful negligence. They remove it. And one of these so-called student, my student, he works with ABB, Asia Bound Brewery, which is now called General Electric because GE bought over ABB. And he is a lawyer himself, and he's still working in this ABB or General Electric. He says that it is not able to do it because gross negligence, how to prove? Unless you, insurer, and your loss is just sitting there and look at it, and then your gross negligence, then it's okay. But it's not able to prove.
But
So
if,
chances of repudiating claims of this nature is tough.
but they claim that they can see it from the CCTV. They requested for it.
Oh,
And-
CCTV. Okay. Maybe he actually back to the machine because he's disgruntled employee, maybe.
Yeah, that's what
If,
they
if
claim.
this if this disgruntled employee is a third party, then your policy will trigger if you have this so-called malicious damage.
Oh, you mean
Because
we can actually add in include in malicious damage?
yeah, this is where it's a disgruntled employees is not your employee lah, another person
It is
trespasses.
the employees.
Employees said sorry lor, employee cannot be. That means you whack your own machine, not correct lah. So in your case, it's very different lah, what I'm saying lah.
Okay. I was
Okay.
thinking that from your genius knowledge, you can
Yeah.
twist the thing around next time. I know what.
I want to help you, but in these circumstances, you agree with me, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. That's why I say I cannot do anything.
Yeah, true.
They claim that they can see. They even ask for the CCTV, which they stupidly give. I mean, rather myself.
Yeah, it's good to keep it. That's why for your client, always remember to guide them. Ask them to keep the maintenance record because breakdown is basically always tied with maintenance. That is the important part lah. And
In
also
other
follow
yeah.
the maker's recommendation and follow the inspection time frame lah. The duration follow. Don't cut corners. Remember to tell them, since you have many MB policies in place. And the other thing is you need to protect the profit. Always remind your client to have this MB loss of profit cover because long run you have to protect your profit of your client. Okay, that's important lah, because money mah. When the breakdown, you lost money, it doesn't make sense, lor, you know. And then the insured will say, home tai lor, you know, breakdown will cover, you know, and a lost profit, you know. So I think
Medical cost doesn't cover me.
you have to insure
Hospital,
MB LOP lor, a separate policy.
or it's a separate policy ah?
Yes, that's
loss 唔得啊？
唔得唔得，fire con loss 另外嘅 fire 同 fire con loss. This is related
哦，
to MB.
哇，有
So
多哦，
有多啲 premium 咯。多啲 commission. Anyway, sorry. Okay, let's go into the policy. Along the way, if you are not very clear, you stop me. Now, Munich rewording.
Thank you.
Generally, this Munich rewording is a German wording. It says that the moment you have completed the erection oris, usually erection oris of a machinery, you have to perform what they call the testing and commissioning. Testing means you test it up to the point of it is the right specification. Example, I produce 1,000 pieces, and then 1,000 pieces really come out 1,000 pieces. No, it's just that you go to ATM, you get the money, 1,000 ringgit means 10,000 ringgit. And of course, the other thing is that they run many times, and this is called commissioning. Okay, so why I'm saying this is because this EAR policies, once it's completed over, expired, then you hand over. Now your policies for MB will kick in straight away the moment the EAR policy has expired. So what do you actually cover is you cover while the machinery is in operation or at work. At work means in operation. At rest means it is in an idle situation where you have finished your job for the day and you put it there. Okay, but of course, sometimes people carry on overtime. You can see a lot of overhead cranes are moving within the plant itself, and then something dropped from the overhead cranes and then landed into a machine. That is also covered, although it is not internal breakdown. That external is also covered because of the word at rest also. Okay, been dismantled for the purpose of cleaning or overhauling, and then been shifted within premises or reaction. So the whole word sentence here is what I'm trying to say is that you may want to move a machine from point A in one building to point B in another building, or from point A in the same building moving from the north to the south, something like that, for example. Then when you dismantle it and then you have to re-erect. But meanwhile, you collapse or have some damages because it drops while you are moving or shifting this item, the policy will pay. So you don't need to buy erection oris policy for just merely moving around. Okay, so that's what it means. And beside that, what do they cover? When you look through just now, I mentioned to you about cover. It says what it cover all unforeseen sudden physical loss or damage to the insured items due to the following. This is quote and unquote in the policy. It says faulty design. Faulty design actually is rests onto the owner of the people who designed this. Okay, when they design wrongly, let's say calculation wrongly, or maybe let's say a bolt and nut is too close. Let's say this is the item here, and the hole is too big. Of course, the bolt and nut not so good. Then it goes through. So therefore, this could be due to design. Then they keep on changing their design to improve. So it could be calculation, it could be the plans is wrong, the drawings is wrong, or even wrong specification. All these are boiled down to what they call the engineers. These are people who study a lot, are learned people. Okay, so your client, I got the machine ready, but it's designed. So during the year of what they call under warranty, under guarantee, you can still seek a recourse directly from the founder or the designer, isn't it? Or the owner of this guy who created the machine. And you must remember, all those branded name, for example, they don't do themselves. They are all outsourced. In Malaysia, plenty of these people. They can call themselves Toshiba or HP or whatever brand you call it. They all are outsourced. So these faults can also happen at fabrication yard where you fabricate the size, the shape, and also at workshop where they're making it. And then also sometimes they test it in the plant itself. So they erect it, test, and then put it down again. And also sometimes this defect, number 3, happen defect in the casting. Casting means I have an engine block with a mold. So the size is like a mold, but when you pour in this casting material, just like your car engine, it comes out in the same shape. Every engine the same. But if you look closely, using a virtual microscope, you can find a lot of honeycomb. So the honeycomb is so small that you cannot see in the naked eyes. Then you realize that this casting could be due to human human not doing a proper job, or sometimes you selected the wrong materials, a kind of alloy. Let's say you use a carbon steel or whatever material. Alloy could be a mixture of nickel or silver or whatever. All these defects can happen, and it's all on trial and error basis by the manufacturers. That is the reason why there's this problem. Okay, of course, when these faults happen during the time under warranty, they will pick it up. But after the manufacturers is over, then sorry, lo. So you have to go after what? The insurance company. And does the policy pay for faulty design, fault in workshop, and defects? My answer to you is yes. Okay, all these are covered when the manufacturer's guarantee is over. Now, even when the manufacturer's guarantee is in force, you insure with an insurer, the two policies will pick up, the manufacturer's as well as your insurance policy. Which one will you go for? In your policies, you got an excess. In this policy, you got no excess. Naturally, you go after them, isn't it? So we always ask you, but even you claim from insurer, the insurer will fight with the manufacturers. After paying you the claim, they will go after, because they ask you to sign a form called subrogation form. So insurers use your rights and remedies and go after the manufacturers. But the easiest way is they ask you to go after the manufacturers so that you can get it clean or no need to deduct for the excess. So usually that is how it happens. Okay. So insured usually have performed the acceptance test, car rest, and all these have been taken care. Okay. So all this we have already know about it. So what is the coverage of MBA policies? It's basically they cover more than that. It's called faulty operation, lack of skill, negligence, carelessness, malicious act. Now this malicious act must be committed by a third party, because malicious is usually called a trespassers or a third party. If malicious done by your own people, then it's not covered. That's why I was just explaining to just now the lady. So lack of skill is people like us, we may not be skillful. Okay, negligence is basically something that is called carelessness. It is not called gross negligence. It's done carelessly without thinking it will happen like that. Faulty operation is actually people jump ship. For example, step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I will quickly change to 3. Why? 5 did 3, 4, 5. No need to skip the 1 and 2. So this is not wrong. It's just that it's faulty. It can be a problem in future. Don't know lah. The tearing apart is actually running at very high speed. And of course, the whole thing can sometimes come out from the housing. Of course, very rare, but it did happen. Short circuiting, we will pay. Electrical fault, we will pay, provided no fire. The moment there's a fire, your fire policy will trigger. And of course, the boiler, we have mentioned earlier, it exploded or imploded. Exploded is the opposite, it's like this. Imploded is the opposite. Okay, so both ways also we cover because of the failure of maybe the protective devices did not ring a bell, and then of course this happened. But my 40 years so far, I have never had one so-called failure except the ANCOM. Okay, so I would say that this is all done by human being, and that is prohibited. You cannot clamp the safety valve. Safety valve is allow you to blow out, no. Otherwise, it can blow out to explode. Okay, so storm I mentioned earlier is that actually this perils is very real, especially to items which is kept outside the premises. It's not in the roof, under the roof. So these are quite common. So what are the exclusions in the policies? Now we go through one by one the exclusion. So all these are covered. What we don't cover now, deductible, excess. But 2, these are what I call the exchangeable tools. Tools that exchangeable are such as can suffer wear and tear. Things like, for example, you put in a screwdriver, screw, or anything of a material, let's say a mold, maybe you put in the kind of materials. So in this case, called mold, rubber tire, lubricants, fuel, catalysts, refractory material. Refractory materials are those that we go and melt something inside. After a number of heats, after how many times, you got to go down and then check the lining. And if the lining is something not right, they have to actually address it. Or object made of glass, porcelain, ceramic, belt, ropes, and wires. All these are basically consumable. It will wear and tear, it will go off. A matter of time only. Number 3 is very straightforward. It's talking of fire and related perils, including burglary and all those which is subsequently should not be insured here. It should be insured somewhere else. So this is very specific. We don't want to cover this. Number 4, they will find a way as an insurance to get recourse or recovery from a contractor supplier or repairer in case the loss or damage is caused by these guys. Sometimes you never know. These guys open the housing. They are actually authorized by the manufacturers, OEM. So they authorize and then they do some repair. And then, there's a damage after a couple of days. We can actually find ways to get recourse against them. Of course, we have to prove that the damage is caused by them. Okay, so it's because of them, maybe that's that possibility, but we don't know. We have to still go into more detail to determine. That's why the loss adjuster role to determine the approximate cost of loss is very important. And I already mentioned to you that loss adjuster are not all are engineers. Okay, just to be frank with you, and not all of them are engineers, so they do not know. They are just basically not sure, and then they will ask the insurers, hey, this claim high, a bit big, hey, should we get a forensic or should we get a professional engineer to check? Otherwise, this claim will be stuck there, because nobody knows whether payable or not. So this is where we come in to ask whether the claim amount deserve to pay or not. Otherwise, the benefit of doubt is that we have to pay because we cannot find out what's the loss. And we have to pay the loss because it's not excluded. Like that, no? So if we cannot get the supplier, contractor, repairer, then we have to pay anyway. It's like that. So these are the wording you can see in black and white. It's all stated one by one. Yeah, I just translate over that side so that easy to explain to you. So the others are what exclusion is 5 to 10. Okay, so the 5 to 10 is called existing fault and defects, which I mentioned earlier, is that these faults have been designed, and of course the client this is called Chemical Company Malaysia, who actually have this fault already. And they were monitoring. This Mr. Raghunathan had been monitoring it. Unfortunately, he says that it breaks down 2 weeks earlier. And of course, these 2 weeks earlier means what? Means that we have to pay the claim? No, because it was already pre-existing. So we explained to the loss adjuster and he take it up with them and the client. And that's it. I was there to actually hear from Mr. Raghunathan. What you want to tell me? Number 6, you can forget it. Number 6, you can forget it that we will not pay. Okay, let's go to the wording to see. Loss or damage arising from willful act or gross negligence of the insured or his representative. I already mentioned to you about Mr. Raghunathan, although this Radhakrishnan of Shendalamore. He's still working there as a partner. But what I'm saying is that we have to reject. Okay, 7 and 8 very clear cut. We don't pay, but you can extend the cover right and strike, taking away these two, and then you put in the clause wording. The other thing is the loss or damage as a direct consequence of continuing influence of operations. A bit difficult to explain this, but as long as we are concerned is that we have to prove number 9 is that it's due to wear and tear, cavitation, erosion, corrosion, rust, boiler. Naturally, we don't cover because these are what they call rusting, boiler scale and all that. So a lot of this kind of claim, everybody understood. No need to explain, we do not cover straight away. And just now I've explained to the lady about number 10. It is excluded under MB. Consequential loss, falling breakdown is excluded under MB, but you can insure it under separate policy. Today, nobody know how to rate for MB LOP. So therefore, the rate for MB LOP should be the same rate as MB. So how we rated those days is that we have to do survey. So it's very tough job. So we don't want to go to the hassle of calculating one by one and then all those at the end of market. If you can get the business good enough already, what is talking about the rates. Generally, the MB LOP rate is lower than MB. You were surprised. It's lower, but unfortunately, many claims comes up. The MB LOP losses are much higher. Too bad. Okay. Now, the provision number 1, MMO1, sum insured. So you can see that in this, it says that the requirement is we will pay them equal to the cost of replacement insured machinery by new machinery of the same kind, capacity. So we will cover what? Example, we cover the replacement cost of the machine plus freight charges, custom duties, or cost of erections, mean labor costs. So you can see that these are the things that we want to highlight is that the client himself will make sure that they get not only the material, more than just the material. That's why the cost of insurance is slightly higher. So in order to prevent under insurance, make sure you also cater for that. Your sum insured should be bumped up to cater for freight charges, custom duties, and cost of labor. Then we come to the basis of indemnity. Basis of indemnity called Part A here is called partial loss. Part B here is called total loss. Part A, Part B. So let's go into the more detail. So let's go into Part A first. Damage can be repaired. So the good thing about this Part A is that 99% of the losses fall under this category. Only 1% will fall under Part B. So again, when I mentioned this, we do cover erection, re-erections, ordinary free charges, custom duty, expenses for employment of specialists also. All these are counted bit. And one extra thing is that we will not deduct for depreciation. Now, depreciation sometimes basing on loss adjusted, they say, oh, this machine 20 years old, I will charge you a deduction for 50%, 80%. So it's up to their whims and fancies. That is terrible. So, but the good thing is that most of the claims are partial loss, and therefore we will not institute what I call depreciation. Okay, for total loss, which is Part B, in this case, unfortunately, 1% this has happened, and so far one case of evaporators was slightly hot and then bring down to warm, and this gentleman go and shoot cold water onto the evaporator, so it's like a cold bath. What happened? It collapsed. So the machine, all these evaporator inside collapsed. So we have to take this machine out, take down the brick wall, and then bring in the new machine and put back the brick wall. The brick wall also we have to pay. So I remember this very clearly because Paul Franklin asked me, Peter, payable or not? I wasn't sure at that time, but I had to consider and check with a lot of people, including the loss adjuster. We finally agreed that we should pay. So we pay for all this. But the question is how silly the worker is. It's not an issue, but we still have to pay because it is a genuine loss, because the guy doesn't know, doesn't understand. So the only setting is that we have to deduct for depreciation as a result of total loss. So if your sum insured is inadequate, then you find that you will pay you much lesser. And not only that, we also have to deduct for excess, isn't it? So just be mindful about that. Now in the policy, MB, we have 12 conditions. So the few conditions that you need to take note is 3, 4, and 5 first, which is to say that the insured shall take reasonable precautions compliant with statutory and the manufacturer's recommendation. This is utmost importance. So do not breach it. You have to follow because it's a compliance issue so that the claims will not be upset. Number 4 is if there are any changes or major changes, material change, whatever, you need to inform the insurer. Example, you do some rail modifications and not too sure, just reach out to the insurers to ask them to look at it. Number 5 is even more crucial. Wherever there's a loss, do nothing, just notify the loss. Let them assign a loss adjuster because every engineering claim, I think most likely big or smaller, they will assign one person there, which is a loss adjuster, to determine whether this is payable or not. But the moment you have notified, it's good enough. And of course, if this is payable or some claims that is considered, then they will go further to ask for the documentary evidence of the maintenance. They also want to see what are the parts which is damaged, okay, and so forth. So do not breach this because in my time when I was a loss adjuster, I realized people don't do that. So a lot of claims are now stuck there. It's not that the loss adjuster do not want to proceed. So coming to timing, every claim is usually payable. It's a very fast one. The only thing that when the claim is not fast is because you have this thing of sangkut there, no documents, or maybe the claims is in vertical question mark whether payable or not payable because the loss adjuster also do not know whether this loss is payable or covered or not covered. Subrogation is a recovery I mentioned to you is that if you can go after the manufacturers, by all means ask the insurer to go after. If you want to come to insurers will ask you to fill in the form. That form is called a subrogation form. Before we pay, we will pay first. We also recover from the party which is supposed to be the author of the claim. Okay, I don't know where, maybe a third party, don't know. Arbitration is actually in relation to a court. Court, you advertise to everybody, can go in and sit in. Arbitration is private, which means to say it's in a room, only the people will sit down together, which is the insured and the insurer. And that's it. No reinsurers also. Okay? And of course, this claim had to be settled or not to settle. It depends. Because liability is admissible. The amount is the question. The amount is question. That's why we go for arbitration. Today, things have changed. Today is 2024. Whether they claim payable, not payable, they also go for arbitration. Some people not repudiated, they're not happy. They go for arbitration because it's private. But of course, you must bear in mind the cost of arbitration is very expensive. It is not like a textbook stuff. Say, yo, very fast and very cheap. No such thing, no. Nowadays, lawyers, the fees are count by per hour, 1,000 plus. And I have one case like that, 1,000 plus Sing dollars, no, per hour. My God. So we have that. I have this claim. Unfortunately, we won, so we recovered all the legal expenses. Okay. So 8 is actually sometimes the insurers may not pay the claim, possibly because of some doubt. And of course, maybe police criminal inquiry, I don't know, somebody died or because exploded. So a criminal inquiry already. Fraudulent claims, if there is, usually I wouldn't call it fraud, maybe it's exaggerated amount. So this claim sometimes can be rejected. So of course, the insured can commence to suit against the insurer within 3 months to appeal. Usually that been the case. Contributions, of course, there's normally MB, very seldom got contribution. Termination is called cancellation. And of course, if this policy is payable, like just now the lady mentioned, if there any delay by the insurance not to pay and every document have been submitted, you go after number 12. Interest will be chargeable for default by the insurance not to pay. Okay, this is actually to safeguard against dilly-dally. It's admissible, you bring back, just like your house, if you don't handed the key to you and no key, it's different, isn't it? Because you cannot stay in, you have to stay outside and rent a place. You can seek recovery for penalty or liquidated ascertained damages, isn't it? Under the when you buy a house, okay? So it's the same. Any default, you can recover the interest. So here you can see the schedule, and of something that we need to highlight to you is, let's assume the palm oil mill. If you happen to have insured palm oil mill, you find that they have this so-called boiler that generates steam. This steam will go into what they call a turbine and generator. This turbine will turn, and it's joined to a generator shaft. The shaft will turn at the same time and they generate electricity, because palm oil mill generally don't have electricity supply, so they have to generate their own electricity using steam. So the steam have two uses. One is to cook the fruits, which is the palm oil fruits. Secondly is to use the steam to generate electricity. So they will have to observe these 344. Okay, for those like turbo generators and gas turbine that generate our power, for example, then you use 345. Okay, so this is just to highlight to you. So our wording, coming to the wording, let's go through very quickly. The policy is not complete without the clauses. So 344 usually may or may not include. It says overhaul of steam, water, gas turbine, and turbo generator. So this is a high quality material. It's very seldom we insure power plant here, but it's just for your own academic knowledge. Where there's a steam turbine and turbo generator sets, generally they have to follow what they call a time frame to do comprehensive what they call check. And this is actually to have making sure that they are still good in good state. So they say a set at overhaul at least every 4 years. So which means to say you can run the machine as you want to, but this policy doesn't follow inspection A, B, and C. A, B, and C means up to 6 years, but here the policy is only up to 4 years. Okay, for water turbine and turbo generator sets, you have to overhaul at least every 2 years. So if you fall under whichever category, then you know. And the last one is called gas turbine and gas turbo generator set. This one is actually, you have to follow the ABC inspection, which I mentioned earlier. Combustion chamber is A, 1 year. For the turbine and compressor, 3 years. B, inspection. C, inspection, everything is going to be opened up and check. There's 6 years. Okay, 1, 3, and 6. So it all depends. For 3, 4, 5 is basically inspection and overhaul of boilers. So boilers is always inspected 12 calendar months or thereabout, plus or minus 1 to 3 months. Because most of these inspectorate are very busy. So it's very hard to get them also. So we have to be actually making sure. And most of these guys are usually called competent. Competent doesn't mean they're qualified. Okay, just to let you know, competent means they maybe have a different type of diploma, a STEAM certificate, for example. Then, of course, they consider competent. Oh. So if the insured fail to comply with these requirements, then insurers no need to pay a claim if there's any loss under Part B here. Oh, this is how the endorsement is worded. Other clauses, you can see that we have put it here. I will just walk through with you. So RSCC is quite straightforward. Okay, right strikes is usually commonly asked for. And 006 and 007 is the same. It's called expediting clause. What it says is that for 006, it is all on land. For every charges, it is actually by flight. So on land and by sea, you can consider as 006 law. So usually how much do we pay is that we use the yardstick called 10% of normal claim cost in respect to 006. If the claim is 100,000, 10% of normal claim cost means is 10% of 100,000 equal to 10,000. So the insurers will pay 100,000 of the claim plus 10,000 for 006. That's what it means. For every charges, usually we give slightly higher because it costs more. So we raise this from 10% normal claim cost to become 20% normal claim cost. Okay, that's the only two slight differences. As regard to 302, 315, for 302, basically what I'm trying to explain to you is that there are boilers that insure under boiler pressure vessel. And there's also boilers insured under MB policy. What's the difference? Here, the cover is very limited. It's like a third-party cover. No third party, motor cover. It only covers explosion and collapse, full stop. At the same time, they cover surrounding property and third party. Third party bodily injury, third party property damage. That's all they cover. Okay. So when you put this machine breakdown into this policy, MB, it is not limited to explosion and collapse, because I would say maybe 80 to 90% of all the losses that I've seen for boilers, I have no loss in under boiler pressure vessel, never at all. But for MB policy, the boilers, a lot of cracking of tubes. You know, the tubes are thinning, no, cracks. So the moment it cracks, they have this steam and water coming out and cause more damages to other adjoining steam. The piping system. Whether it's a water tube or fire tube, it will damages. Okay, so this is not covered under the boiler pressure vessel, but it's covered under MB. So this is where most people, I always encourage them to buy under MB instead of buying boiler pressure vessel. But if you buy under MB, the only shortcoming is you need to add in this 302. Why? Because you need to include the surrounding property damage. Because when you explode, anything can happen. You can damage your own surrounding property belonging to the insured. Secondly, you also cover the third party property damage and bodily injury. So the limit, again, is up to the insured and the agent recommendation. Don't be so stingy to just select only 1 million. You can go to 1, 3, 5, 10, whatever limit you want. Of course, it will attract additional premium. No expect. It cannot be free. Okay. Then 315 is talking about storage tank. The tank itself is covered. What about the contents? It is not insured. So in order to have this contents to be insured at the same time, you add in 315, but you need to pay because the contents can cost money. Assuming you have 10 tanks, all different sizes, you pick the largest tank, which is the most likely it can break through the tank, for example, then you choose that one and you insure on first loss. You don't have to insure all the tanks. That's very expensive. Choose the largest tank, and of course the amount you select. But make sure you discuss with your insurers to be on the first loss basis, okay? Because that is a market practice. Because so far we have done a lot of this, and of course, why we choose this, because no insurers now insure storage tank. Last time I do insure storage tank policy, but no longer, because it is not a Munich Re wording. It's a UK wording. Okay. 343 is talking about electric motor. Now, generally, electric motor has a highest frequency of claim. That means the breakdown of this motor is very high. Of course, we also recommended that they have this so-called every 8,000 hours of operations or every 500 starts up, 2 years to have overhaul. Lah. Because if you don't overhaul it, the generally speaking is going to have create a lot of unplanned breakdown. Lor. So these are recommended. So since you have the clause 343, it's best that you follow accordingly because it is a condition. Okay. So for new electric motors, usually they shall be overhauled after 2,000 hours or at least after 1 year operations. And then the last part here, put 391 is talking about special agreement regarding maintenance work on electronic components of the insured machinery. Now, every machinery, you also have what they call the motherboard, I call it, the electronic components. So what they're trying to say is that we will not treat this maintenance and pay the claims as a result because it's maintenance, but maintenance should be at your own cost. So maintenance, they will define it as safety checks, preventive maintenance, or sometimes they call it rectification or loss of damage or faults arising from normal operations. Usually this normal operation is due to what? Aging. No? So these are wear and tear and so forth. So these will not be payable, but they enforce this to make sure that electronic components are being looked after. So they have to do all this safety check and preventive maintenance. So now the last part is called the best maintenance practices. Before I go to that, any questions, Ms. Noru?
No
far?
questions.
No question.
Yeah.
Then very good. Suma pandai. Okay, now we go to the last part, which is G. Now, this is a suggested best maintenance practices. Now, generally, insured would need the commitment from all level of their organizations to be committed to do it. Usually, when there is anything that need to do maintenance, you cannot just simply just jump in like that. No? What they want them to do is they must come out with a work order, a piece of paper to say, hey, what is going to be done? You know? So they will time it. If it is not a priority one, then they wait for the annual shutdown. Otherwise, why do it? And of these 100% of maintenance personal time covered by work order, they realize that 90% of this 900% is preventive maintenance, means time-based. You will still have to do it anyway, but it's just that you have to wait the time-based. So as long as it doesn't interrupt the productions, they will attend to it. Otherwise, again, they wait for order and shut down. The others, 30% is all preventive maintenance, will be done now. Those which you can wait, you put the other side. And then 90 other percents are planned or scheduled work compliance. So we realize that all these are planned means that you already capture it and wait for it to be done. So they also do have from time to time maintenance along the time. They don't wait for annual shutdown. They do have that also, but it's all well planned. So generally, from what we have seen, those who have a mixture of 55% on predictive maintenance using scopes and all that, 55%, 35% on preventive maintenance, time-based, and 5 to 10% for corrective maintenance or unplanned breakdown. This is usually they're adopted by this way. You cannot have 100% all using this predictive and preventive, not necessary. You do also have unplanned breakdown also, but lesser lah. Okay, so we don't want the reverse. That means too many time is unplanned breakdown. We don't want. We want more on preventive breakdowns and predictive maintenance. So you find number 5, 6, 7 is the way you go forward for most clients is that spare parts, you don't need it. You only order it on a need basis. When it comes to annual shutdown, they ask for that parts. You already order already. Overtime is usually more than 2% of the total maintenance time. And maintenance budget, what you have set already is either plus or minus only 2%. It means to say it's very accurate. Okay? So 2 common reasons why people don't practice this so-called best maintenance. The first one we realize is most maintenance is totally reactive. Reactive is not proactive. Proactive means you do it now, or do it today. You look at my place, this is my home office. All the things I've done is actually stick the sticker on the top. And I finish already, I'll just slash off and cut off and throw away already. And of course, new one comes in. So all this I'm talking about the training I'm going to do until June is all sticking here. So from July onwards, then another things to be done already. or something like that. So this is what they call total reactive is not good because they do not follow the definition of maintenance, which is to protect, preserve, and prevent from decline. So their mindset is, if I got insurance to pay for this, why not? So don't go for this type of climb. You better U-turn and balik. Better chow. Don't go for them. The second one is the maintenance workforce themselves, the people, have so-called no discipline or lack of discipline to follow the best maintenance repair practices. And furthermore, the management or top management has not defined rules of conduct for best maintenance practices. So this can be an issue also. Okay, so there are two types. So far I work with 10 companies. Touch wood, they're not so bad. All are okay. The only thing is myself got a culture shock when I work with some of those companies. No name mentioned. It's just that I find that it's not something I would want to be like that. No. So proactive maintenance organization, I can only give you 11 points here. Okay, the first one is maintaining skill training. To ensure your skills are continued, don't assume everybody are the same. You need to upgrade people from grade 3 become grade 2, grade 2 become grade 1. So of course, some of this great skill is not acquired. No? You have to go to exam. Where I worked before, during my internship, I see people graduate up by exam. No, the exam is not theory because they don't study one. They are all practical. So their maintenance is all very practical and very good, better than people like us. Okay, workflow analysis require changes. Changes here, they're talking about the people and the whole organization's chart. And of course, here is to accommodate computerized maintenance management system, CMMS, and ensure employees will actually follow. And during my time in the 90s, I remember that most companies have to computerize. I find it absolutely very difficult to understand. Even writing email, I also find it very uncomfortable. And two of my staff, Hamida actually doing with what they call fleet management for Moto. And I salute her because she's one person who do all of this, and she was under my care. And I told her, why you don't want to do? Cannot lah, Peter. Computerize saya pun tak boleh. So I say, can you just try? You never try, you just chow like that. She decided not to. So I cannot stop her. Then another guy, I forgot his name, is Mr. Lim or something. And he's always getting headache when you see the computer. So anyway, he works for a couple of years and then he chow already. And the last one is Mr. Chandran. He's actually more on the reinsurance. He's using hand to write now. So these are issues that I don't like. But what to do? He's getting old and he's supposed to retire at the age of 55. So I said, okay, you're still a few more years. Go. Because after you're done already, I need to pass it to next person to key into the computer. So it's double work. But to me, I think it's sad lah. The changes, a lot of people cannot cope. So I'm talking about such flow do happen. And of course, now people are getting adapted to it. You have to learn to embrace this so-called digitalizations and computerization. You have no choice already. So today, existing work order system is restructured. So I mean to restructure means the work order is a tool for managing labor resources and measuring department effectiveness. If you heard about this so-called share services, like most of the brokers are doing, you know what share services? It's basically measuring the workers. How effective are they? If you don't work and your machine not moving like that, then no one know. That's how they work. The system will measure that you go somewhere else and do something else, and then your mouse is not moving. It is stalemate already. It's not working. Like that, no. So plan preventive maintenance tasks and procedure. So why we select this CMMS is that we want the client to be very focused that the system will help you to tell you what to change, what not to change, and what to replace, and when it's an overhaul. These are all put inside the calendar. So all these tasks are now set, whether you call it routine, preventive, proactive, schedule overhaul, predictive maintenance. All these are being captured inside the CMMS. And of course, maintenance engineering development is to improve further this technique. So the whole idea here is we just don't stop short by saying, oh, they got a failure. What are you going to do next? So the thing is that we need to advise ourselves root cause analysis. That means we have to find out what's the problem, what created it. Okay. The other thing is what they call evaluate training effectiveness. So during my time when I was still working, I have to go to branches to do what they call audit. They call it technical audit. And during the audit, I also find out from staff talking to them. And then I come back and then I have to do planning for training. Because I see the weaknesses in some of them. And we say, okay, that time no virtual, we have to ask them to send your staff. This particular 2% is sitting on the supervisory level. They must come and attend this class, so that their training is improved, something like that. Establishment, assignment, and training of planners. So inside the CMS system, it's like a streets, what do you call a card, where they tell you what are the measures. Now, this is one of the clients I've seen. It's called Henkel Oleo. Henkel Oleo subsequently was bought over by another company called Cognis, Cognis. And subsequently, it was changed to become, today it's called Emery. When they were under Henkel Oleo, they're all using box file to record the equipment history. What have you changed? All box file, my dear friend. It's very tiring. You make an error, you got to use the eraser and then do all those things again. So then you come to these so-called Cognis and Emery. They're all changed to computerized already. So that is a very important part. And this is where I see the changes in the records. So all this will be published and making sure that at the end of the day, everybody can go back at 5 o'clock. Everybody can finish the job on time. And there's no such thing overtime one. Overtime is a bad thing already, bad manners. Okay. So the other thing is maintenance, inventory, and purchasing integrations. So we use sort of barcode. Just like today, you use the QR code, or they use barcode and inventory integrated, so that these are all captured. So whatever you buy is all being captured in the purchasing order. Then also CMSS is also critical in terms of proactive maintenance approach. We will also prioritize 1, 2, and 3, not more than that, 1, 2, and 3. 1 means we have to do it now, if possible. 2 means we can still wait. 3 means when the management approve, no money, we're talking about what. So it's still maintenance, but it's not so important. But the number 1 is critical, and we have to write to the management to get approval. And number 9 is management reporting, performance measurement, and tracking. So here is to generate accurate and useful tools for evaluations management. So how does insurance perform today when we are going to full liberalization? Now, a lot of things that you see is surprisingly, people say, how do you underwrite? Like that, quote a rate. In fact, that's not correct. By right, we should look at the data to underwrite. And today we are failing because we don't have the data. So when I was a professional reinsurance company, a German company, in year 2000, 2001, and 2002, when I was working there, I left in 2003. Then what happened is that I realized that something that's very, very, very glaring is that two motor boys, Kunia and Pacific and Orient, I realized that they are doing very well in motor because their database is absolutely great, I would say. Because maybe number 1, they have the number of risks, plenty of motor, and they have also a system to actually accurately determine what portfolio to write, what not to write. Some people make money only by chance. For example, the Japanese make money because the franchise, they do the new cars first year, good premium, no NCB, isn't it? Example, they make good, isn't it? Claims seldom, okay. But the moment the car went into 10 years, there's a sum insured drop, isn't it? So that is the reason why it becomes not viable to write anymore. Okay. So what I'm saying is the data is very important. Return on investment analysis. So of course, management will always make sure that you spend this money. What do we get? Does it increase the productivity? Do we go back home early? Do we have extra overtime costs? All these have to be submitted at the same time, because we say how good this CMMS is. Now, we actually recommended CMMS by virtue of this guy, the surveyor. Our surveyor recommended, we agree that they should do it. So that's why the client get a very good terms. especially I'm talking about Lion Group, the one which we did a lot of steel mill, M Steel Mill, Mega Steel. Nobody want to write one, that type of client, you know. So we actually quoted, and our rate was slightly lower than Munich Re and the Swiss Re. I'm a professional re called Gerling Global. So when we quote, I quoted 45 cents. Excess is 4.5 million. This is nothing wrong because it's a steel mill. And of course, time excess for MBLOP is 60 days. The first 60 days, no claim. We will not pay claim. But of course, today, after going through all this system and working with them for almost, this is the 20th year with them. Of course, I left industry for, ever since. But what I'm saying is, the client that actually enjoyed the rate the last 10 years ago was 0.125 to 165 from 45 cents. Excess from 4.5 million dropped to, if I'm not wrong, 500,000 to 750,000. Okay. Time excess have dropped to from 60 days to now only 14 days, but not more than 21 days. There are 10 different plant. And all these machinery are very old plant, I'm just telling you. So I'm just explaining to you that how the CMS and the surveyor have to do. And we spend 500,000 to engage this guy to survey every year. Of course, today now he's based in Australia already, and I'm still working together with him on some areas. For example, he needs help on underwriting. He is a surveyor, so he only talk about how the survey the risk, blah blah blah. But coming to underwriting is zero. So it's come to me, then I guide him through, and of course he pay me a small fee for that professional spend on a daily basis. Now I charge him. So evaluate and integrate use of contractors is also another thing, because contractors, generally speaking, if they know the sure get, they're very complacent. And we don't want this type of attitude. We want them to fight it out, like that. So usually we have make sure that they are contract out, and then we keep changing the contractors to make sure they works. Okay. So at the end of the day, I still think that this CMS is only the client must accept it. I wouldn't say all the line group have CMS, only certain client have it. Okay. So I'm left with this last question, Q&A. Okay. So any questions at all from your side, Nuru? Hi, Nuru.
Any questions from the floor? I think there's no question, but got compliment to you.
Ui, you're very good.
Sharing.
Oh,
They're
your
saying
compliment.
that your your explanation is very clear and very detailed. Yeah,
Sure,
they
I
are
have
learning
to.
from you.
Because I design it, I write it down. I write it down, so I make sure I'm talking to you like a DJ. So if those have any other question in the future, no problem. You just put across to GE, and I will pick it up from there, because I got so many other classes to teach. One in JB end of this month. That was a physical, and then one in the Ipoh. Ipoh, unfortunately, I will be touching on MB. I'll be touching on CAR as well as fire. Very special fire. I designed the class only for Ipoh only because you asked for it. And then there's one from what do you call that? One from Alostar, yeah. Wilson, my ex-colleague, was there. So that will be on CAR and MB. So I hope to catch up with you guys. And again, some people say, you come to my class virtual, you talk, I can't understand. But physical, you ask. Physical, you ask a lot of questions. I'll be able to extend to you, no problem. I'm waiting for you to attack the answer that I will explain to you. Okay. So any other last question? Anybody? Okay, if there's none, Nuru, I just pass it back to you. Thank you again very much for your support and your attendance. I hope to see you again, one fine day again.
All
So,
right,
Nuru,
thank you
back to
so
you.
much. Okay, thank you so much to Mr. Peter for a very wonderful sharing. Yeah, for the detailed information regarding this machinery breakdown topic. And also, I would like to thank all valid agents for attending our session today. And before we end our session today, as usual, kindly answer the evaluation polling that I will upload in a minute. Give me a minute.
Thank you. So I will leave here. So I will see you again next time. Thank you, Nurul, for holding the fort. Thank you. Bye
Yeah,
bye.
thank you, Mr. Peter.
Yeah,
Bye.
bye.
Yeah, got polling, but can you all kindly stop commenting